Lot to catch up on here. A lot to catch up on. Really good weekend of games. I mean, so good that it's not a big deal that most of the games were dog shit. Like there were some really bad games, like Carolina, Indy, and that sort of thing. But who cares? We're talking about all the big ones. The Germany game, the 1 p.m. the Ravens statement, the 4:25 with the Eagles, and then the night game last night. We had wire to wire great football. Kyle, do you want to start us off with your Americas teams?
With my Americas teams, I'm going number one, the Oregon Ducks. There's not really many dominant one-win teams or one-loss teams in the country, but, I know you saw Alabama this week. We're going to talk about
Eagles.
Best one-loss team in the country, the Oregon Ducks. Dominant. You were making fun of me this week. I was rooting for Anthony Calandrea and the Wahoos, and you said you can't even cheer for the Wahoos. You know what? I'm not a hater. I'm a lover.
Did we burn that kid's red shirt?
Yeah.
We had a terrible weekend.
Virginia's for lovers. Oregon Duck here, and I'm a Virginian, so I love everybody, including the Oregon Ducks. Number one, America's team. Number two, I'm going with Army, not the Army. Mm-hmm. Hoodwinked you there. I thought we were going to war for a second, which we, not for this pod. Okay, maybe tomorrow's pod we talk about that. But Army, they went and they beat previously undefeated Air Force. And, they proved the ground game just gets it done. It's been doing it for millennia.
Yeah.
Armies win.
They love that. They love to stick it to the Air Force guys.
Armies
You
win.
talk to some Army guys, they really have a little, friendly rivalry.
God, I want to go, drink with these guys. I feel like if their campuses were right next to each other, that would be awesome. It'd be like a Hollywood movie, just yelling slurs across the street at each other about each one of their Army sucks. So number three, the Bengals. This is where the list gets real for me here. The Bengals. Joe Burrow. We talked about it before the show. It's just I love how much I hate to love Joe Burrow and how talented he is. I mean, I root for him, but I don't want him to do too good because he's going to end up beating the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, he slides, smiles, and points for that first down like such a Joe Cool. I mean, he's Joe Cool, bro. And he's playing like an MVP right now.
Guy could be a lot uglier.
He's playing like an MVP right now.
You know what I mean? He just had to be a heartthrob too.
He's playing like he's listening to everyone talk shit about him. And
if he walked in that door, I could
put my eyes off him. Here's the thing about the Bengals. We'll talk to him about it in a little bit. I don't think anybody was ever shitting on Joe.
Yeah.
No.
I think people were more curious, what they were doing with the injury, and then, as a team, why they weren't looking. Because even defensively, we got a lot better. We'll talk about that.
Got a lot better defensively. They're able to run the ball. We're going to talk about it, as you alluded to. So, number four, the Eagles. And they knocked off one of my weekly Americas teams, the Dallas Cowboys, and a huge rivalry week. I'm going to just call it what it is. It's America's matchup. Dallas Cowboys.
NFC East.
Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of people say Bears Packers, and it's gotten away from that, unfortunately, as a former Bear. I wish it was held in a higher regard. But right now, it's the Eagles, and it's the Cowboys. That's the rivalry, and, 3 times. That's what we're going to get.
Maybe.
Wow.
Cowboys get out of the first round.
Wow. So the Eagles, awesome. Jalen Hurts. It's funny about Jalen Hurts. He's always dinged, but he's never, injured. He's always hurt, but he's never injured.
He's the walking delineation between hurt and injured. The limping delineation.
And that's America. We're just getting by here. We're doing enough. We have everything we need, but barely. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So number 5, the Texans. You want to talk about a team who has more than enough right now.
Is this C-SPAN?
The Texans. The Texans, what's more fun than having an elite quarterback on a rookie deal? Kingston and I talked about this earlier. There's all these teams that are trying to build an NFL Super Bowl roster. They're trying to go out and do moves in the offseason and make these big trades for position players. But the Texans were like, we're going to get the right coach, and we're going to go get the quarterback that we're going to get. And CJ Stroud was hitting the lottery for them. 450-plus yards. We're going to talk more about him as the show goes on. But the Houston Texans, everybody's rooting for him. I love them. Houston Texans.
Houston Texans. Love the Houston Texans. All right, my Americans teams.
Also American teams.
They are Americans teams. First off, and really, there's only going to be 2 this week. Number 1 is going to be Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to go down to Tuscaloosa, T-Town as they call it.
First time
in an SEC game. Everybody, first off, is really cool down there. I mean, really hospitable. It's not like anybody knew who the fuck I was. Yeah, I mean, I would be too. Welcome.
You're down there.
Come check this out.
Oh, it's like the scene in Big Fish, that small town he goes to that's not real.
I haven't seen Big Fish.
It's Oh, that's right up your alley. Any big fish? Okay.
I've seen
so it. It's SEC country.
So I get down there, and I go down with Bad Back Becky and Tom. Ryan Russillo has invited me. He's invited me every year to come down to these games, and usually I'm like, nah, I'm not going to leave home. This weekend I did it. Shout out to my wife, Meg, for giving me the pass to head down there. We headed down Saturday morning. We went to an LSU tailgate. It was incredible. LSU really does it like nobody does it with the tailgating. But things got real when we got to Bryant-Denny Stadium. When I walk through, you know, when you get to a stadium, the big reveal when you walk through out into where your seats are, and you see it. Because from the outside, all these college stadiums, they look the same. Not all of them. But then you walk in, and I felt like fucking Forrest Gump, dude. I felt like I was home. You know, like I just felt, I was like, I have nothing to do with this school, but I don't want to leave, man. I don't want to leave. The colors, the pom-poms.
You took a visit there in 2003, 4.
I didn't.
If you did.
If I did.
You would have committed, right?
Yeah, especially if I was on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Because this place is incredible. I walk through the tunnel, and it just opens up, and it's huge, and you know, like their light shows are amazing, the whole thing. My kids are going to go to Bama. Me and Tom and Kevin decided on the flight home. Our kids are going to Bama. I'm getting a fucking flag. Everybody's going to be like, what's up with the Alabama flag? I'm like, if you haven't been to Tuscaloosa, don't, you know. I like, soon as I got home, we get dinner table. I was like, you're going to Bama.
Roll Tide.
I turned into the varsity blues coach. Fire that fucking pigskin, son. You're going to go play for Nick Saban. That's how I feel about Alabama. Some of the best moment, though, was probably at the end of the third quarter. I hear they play Dixieland Delight, which great song. Me and Ree were singing it on the river, floating down the river in the Pumpkin a couple weeks ago. I had no idea I was going to hear it in this setting. Kyle, when I tell you they play the whole song, and it was like a bucket list thing that I didn't even know was on my bucket list.
Yeah.
It woke me up. It had me charged up for the fourth quarter.
I can't even imagine.
Stadium's not shaking.
That's a concert. With a football game.
Or something every
just
time.
A dude,
and you're like, you know, this guy, he's a rock eater, but he's actually really
a rock eater,
a really cool guy. And Glenny Balls is great. But the best part was rolled up to the LSU tailgate, and Shane Gillis was there.
Oh, stop!
So I'd met Shane before a couple times, I feel like, but not like just in passing. And he's an Eagles fan and that sort of thing. So we're shooting the shit about the Eagles. I'm like, where are you going later? He's talking about this bar. We're going to the same bar. So we end up getting in the bar. And after the game, he had gone into the game in a T-shirt. After the game, he had like a Central Casting Harvey Updike, the ugliest Letterman jacket you've ever seen. It had the elephant on the shoulder. It had all the national championships that Alabama's won. And I was just crying, laughing, watching him take pictures with 100 25-year-old dudes in that ugly-ass jacket. It was great to see Shane. It was great to see those guys. It was great to hang out with Ryan.
That's great marketing, though. Go down there, get a Crimson Tide jacket, hang out at the bar, post up with all the bros.
You know the face he makes that I can't make? Like, that's the face. He was sitting in the corner making that face. And I was like, you look like an Alabama fan, bro. Yeah. And so, no offense. And the best part was I actually got kind of hammered drunk, Kyle, which I don't do a lot anymore. People feeding you fireball shots and that sort of thing.
Oh, boy.
And this big, strapping Alabama cat walks by. He's probably 6'5", 270. So I'm leaning on the table like this. And he comes by, and he puts his arm on the table. And he's like, what do you say, son? And I'm like, ha.
John Phillips walks up.
And he walks by about 2 feet, and in my drunk brain, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let me do this. I'm like, hey, come back here. So we get into an arm wrestling match in the middle of the bar. The cell phones are coming out. I'm like, oh, fuck, what have I gotten myself into? Because this guy's got me by 20 pounds.
That lat.
And he's a Bama guy. And so I'm starting to be like, well, my shoulder. And he's like, I've had 2 surgeries, son. 35 seconds, bro. I'm in a death match.
It's a war of attrition.
Oh, my God. My arm is cramping. I felt it the next morning. Eventually, I had to get off my seat and get better footing, and I finished him. But Kyle,
I finished him.
Kyle, it was
took the fucking fight to the road.
Yes. Yeah, that travels, Kyle.
That's like the ground game.
But I met so many cool people down there. I just love Tuscaloosa. I want to go to Death Valley, but that rivalry is awesome.
Yeah, where are we going next? What's the next
Got to ask Uncle
to?
Ryan.
Okay.
I want to go to West Virginia to see a game. I want to go sit in the nosebleeds in Morgantown and enjoy that.
Let's do it.
Before this weekend, I thought West Virginia was maybe the team if I'd done it over again and didn't go to Virginia, but it would have been Alabama. I'm going back to Alabama, Jenny.
Sometimes I think I would have been like a Sooner.
Oh, come on, Kyle. Couldn't even compare to this place. It was unbelievable. My second America's team, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Las Vegas Raiders. We'll talk about them right here, because I don't think we're going to break down that game. I don't think anybody thought, well, anything's possible with the Giants, that we'd have to turn to DeVito early in that game, but that's about where it got out of hand. Daniel Jones, obviously, with the ACL. Hats off to him. He's a really tough guy. He's trying to stay in there and take another snap and that sort of thing. I think he initially maybe heard it on that Crosby sack. Crosby, by the way, hat trick. He tells everybody, come check out the game, and then he delivers, man. Yeah, right.
Showed up.
Come check this out.
All these people watch.
Yeah, all the people watch. 3 sacks for my boy. And just like for Antonio Pierce, he is the ultimate interim head coach. Like, this was the spot where I gave out the Giants. Okay, my locks yesterday. Fucking New Orleans misses a chip shot to cover. Then the Giants, they Danny Dimes hobbles to the sideline. I'm like, it's over, because from the minute Antonio Pierce was named the interim head coach, I knew we were in trouble. It's just a spot where guys play big for a guy they love. And when you heard the story last week that they actually, Josh McDaniels was like, hey, my players don't like me, Antonio Pierce. Can you help me get better liked? And he nails it. He hits it out of the park by all accounts. And then at the end of it, he makes some comment about like when they beat the Patriots. And Josh freaks out and he's like, you don't talk to the Patriots like that. Which, if Josh said that, I'm sorry, I love Josh because he was with me in New England. That is the lamest shit in the world. And that is why people don't like certain New England people. It's because it's like it's untouchable. What is the Patriot way? We'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't know what it is, because it's not working in New England. And you certainly can't walk into a new building and be like, this is about the Patriots, when you haven't done shit, not at your first stop or your second stop. So, like, the fact that the players, like, look at Devontae Adams' face when Antonio Pierce is delivering that post-game speech. Guys are bought in. For what? They're not going anywhere this year. They just want a chance to win. You know how hard it is to play in the NFL on a bad team and show up every Sunday, and it's almost a certainty that you're going to lose. It is.
Make it interesting. Make it fun.
It is trying on your mental health. You feel like your career is slipping away. You feel like people are watching you and not getting a good idea of who you really are because you're not putting this in the right positions to win. Antonio Pierce, for 1 week, did that for these guys, and he instilled the confidence in them to do that. And the best part is they didn't get down at the half, because if you heard this, when Antonio Pierce was a high school coach, his team was up by 60 points or something at the half, but they weren't executing, so he had them run gassers at half-time. Okay, so he's got the, and they won by like 70. So, like, I guess the first drive of the second half, they were like, but Antonio Pierce is our kind of guy, dude. You know, if you played on an NFL team, I've been around the guy. He is our kind of guy.
Not only a player, but like a dude, like a real player in this league, a guy that played in an era that came before the one that I played in, really. I mean, if you think about it, these guys they're a bit older than
dinosaurs.
It's a different brand of football. And if you can have guys like Dan Campbell, Antonio Pierce, inject that adrenaline immediately into your team, you know, obviously Campbell's been the slow drip, and we saw some ups and downs there, but like they've been steady climbing. The Raiders looked awesome. And to your point, when you don't have a purpose, when you're on a bad team, nobody knows who you are, and it happens time and time and time again, you start to think, this is who I am.
And we talked about this for those of you who don't watch our show or listen to our show all week. We talked about this last week on the preview show, but like the Raiders' job is not an attractive one. Okay, like they don't have a lot of cash from an ownership group standpoint. It's not like they're stacking capital. They didn't ship anybody off. They fired Josh the same day as the trade deadline, didn't get anything for anybody. So I don't think it's like an extremely attractive job. But, you know, like the Raiders might be thinking long and hard if they show more fight. And because I've heard things behind the scenes about them liking Antonio.
Like he's a real option.
And Rich Bisaccia goes, 7-5 with them or something. You know, like that's when you look back at Rich and the fact that you fired him because you didn't like the offensive game plan against Cincinnati, but you didn't score 20 points all fucking year this season, all the offensive mishaps that they've had, all the underuse of Hunter Renfrow, you extend him, you can't trade him because you extended him, but you're not using him. Derek Carr, you know, you give him a no trade clause, you bench him, you can't trade him, he walks, you get nothing. Waller, you trade him away. They have been awful. And, you know, like Ziegler and McDaniels eventually got what was coming, which was like, hey, it's a production business. So,
and how about the fans showing Mark Davis some love? He walked out of the tunnel and all the fans were yelling, "Thank you, thank you, thank you."
They saw he got a haircut.
Yeah, 1-0 since the new haircut.
Big.
Him and Ursay.
$90 million haircut.
Just wild card.
Fucking worth
with dance moves. And I just want to say this. I know some people are. I already had a tweet under like a McAfee tweet because he was excited about Ursay dancing to Dreams and Nightmares. And you know, an Eagles fan was like, "Hey, I expect you, because you're not on the McAfee payroll, to put Ursay in his place." And I'm like, I don't care about the Colts. The Colts are not a threat, and they're not associated with Meek Mill at all. It might just be a song that Jim Irsay likes. If they want to make that their thing, the joke's on them. But if Jim Irsay wants to listen to some Meek Mill after the game and get down, I'm okay with it because the guy is electric. Everything he does.
Fans are the worst. Like, enjoy that guy.
Enjoy the guy. Enjoy the guy.
Ultimate
he's not a
dinner
threat.
party guest.
I don't think it's personal. Yeah.
Based on just what he's going to bring to
him,
dinner.
Mark Davis. Yeah, he's going to bring his helicopter. He's going to bring his aquatic four-wheeler.
Oh, all kinds of science experiments, I'm assuming.
So anyways, Americas Teams. I mean, they're having cigars post-game.
And he gave him off till Wednesday, too.
Can we talk about this?
Fuck it. I like it, Kyle.
You like the cigars?
Yeah,
I
like
love cigars. I hate the cigars.
You had a problem with Brian Dable smoking cigars after the game. I think that's why they smoke cigars after the game. I think that's at least partially why they smoke.
And you know what I forgot? I forgot about my stance on the Dable thing. I forgot that Dable was even smoking cigars.
That was too soon. He hasn't had a cigar in a while.
But the Raiders thing, it was just funny to me, man.
The chances of throat cancer as the head coach of the Giants is going way down because you're not smoking any stogies anymore. It's actually a silver lining for Brian Dable.
Right.
But they were smoking them stogies in there in Vegas at halftime. And I got to say, I don't know what it feels like to win in Vegas. No one does. But if they start winning in Vegas, that's got to be pretty cool. Because there is a vibe there.
Just like Kyle said, all it did was open up the door that the Super Bowl champs, there's going to be cigars and blunts going around. Yeah. Everyone's going to be waiting to light up in Vegas.
That's for sure. But that's also, fine. It's like
no fire code in Vegas. No state tax.
Now you've set the precedent. Now you've set the precedent where you're like, we're going to smoke cigars after wins,
and then people are going to be like, man, it's been a month. You know, Kyle, I'm not as worked up about the cigar thing. Daniel Jones.
I'm not worked up about it.
Daniel Jones, they own what, 69 mil, something like that. So just to like put a bow on the Giants thing, they're in hell.
Yeah.
You know, Al Pacino, we're in hell right now.
Bad day to be Daniel Jones, even worse day to be
Brian Dable
of the Giants.
You know, this is an awful situation in New York, and I feel bad for Giants fans. It's like you were the class of the NFL, everything that people respected about the NFL, NFC East royalty, winning multiple Super Bowls, and now you're like the new Browns almost. I mean, it's not that bad. We don't even know what
you are. You're so bad at being
you're writing your story as one of the dumpster fires of the NFL.
It's their seventh straight game with less than 20 points.
I mean,
insane, dude.
National Football League.
So those are the Americas teams. You know, this is China's team, New York Giants. You know,
Fugazi.
Communists.
Fugazi.
You know,
China.
Something about the means of production. Well, it's not working.
Expensive shipping, logistics just don't make sense.
They're not producing. Okay, so anyways, somebody's mad about that. Somebody's like, wait. All right, get the fuck over it. You're going to really be mad as we talk about Miami and Kansas City if you're a Dolphins fan.
Let's hear a message from our sponsors.
Oh, a message from our sponsors. You shouldn't have to worry about, let me start this over. You shouldn't have to, that's Tuscaloosa. You know, like it's just Tuscaloosa. I can't get through the first ad read. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and what, Kyle?
Everything.
Theater events near you.
Everything.
With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats, Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the Game Time Guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code GREENLIGHT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code GREENLIGHT, GREENLIGHT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Kyle, what does that smell?
That is Copenhagen. Oh, you're talking about an Emmy.
I think it's an Emmy.
Yeah, well, that would be Copenhagen wintergreen. You just won an Emmy.
No,
that was great. Shout out to Adam Shine.
Shout out to Adam Shine.
So Adam Shine, awesome host for CBS.
He is so good.
CBS
we love
Sports,
Adam Shine.
He has his own, Time to Shine is a show that he does. He's got the Adam Shine podcast, radio show on the Sirius XM network, I believe.
And he's not afraid to say what the fuck he wants to say.
And he's got great opinions. He backs them up with facts. Sometimes he may be the unpopular opinion, but he's great. And oftentimes when we get done with a segment, and they say clear, which means you guys at home can't hear us anymore, he'll turn to the guys behind the camera and go, "Do you guys smell that?" I'd be like, "What's that, Adam?" I'd be like, "That's an Emmy."
I think that smell showed up yesterday when you predicted that CJ Stroud was going to go for over 400
sometimes
yards.
The blind dog, blind squirrel, whatever the fuck it is. Blind dog gets a fucking...
Sometimes the blind dog finds an 18-wheeler. Sometimes the blind dog finds a...
Speaking of... Yeah, I saw Will Compton laying in the road this past weekend because the Nebraska Cornhuskers didn't get a win. He said, "I will play in traffic if they don't win." And
oh, my God. Well,
next picture.
I have to eat a hat. Not this hat, luckily. I like this hat. But if the Washington Commanders
they make beef jerky hats,
the playoffs,
I'm sure of it.
I'm going to have to eat a hat.
Any hat?
It was my VA my paddle VA hat, which has been through the ringer. I don't want to eat that hat. Okay.
Yikes.
So, Miami, Kansas City. This was a big one, and it was a big one for the Chiefs because they haven't lost 2 games in a row in a while. They lose last week, division game. It feels like a year ago, and that whole year, relatively speaking, that we're sitting at home, they're going through it on the practice field, the whole thing on the plane out to Germany, and this was one they could not lose for a lot of reasons. Number one, you need that home field advantage. You want to stay out in front. Number two, you lose to the Dolphins, you give this team life. Don't give this team any life. They're not. They know, and I think this is the problem with the Dolphins. And you talk about blind squirrel finding a nut, blind dog finding an 18-wheeler. People thought I found an 18-wheeler the last 2 years when I've been talking about the Dolphins being kind of paper tigers. That's who they are. Until they prove otherwise, that's who they are. And until they prove it to themselves that they're not, I know it's in their head when they take the field in big situations.
And Mike McDaniel told his guys this last week going into the matchup against the Chiefs. He said, "Look, this is going to be a big trip for us, and I want you to understand that when we get back home on American soil, there's going to be 2 narratives that are being talked about. One of 2. One of which is this is a Super Bowl contender. The other is these guys are frauds." And he said, "Don't believe either of them." You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't believe either of them.
Well, he can't say, "Don't believe that we're frauds."
But my point is,
but there is reason to believe.
You're absolutely right. In all the games that they've played against anybody, they haven't done anything.
And then they want to turn around. Hey, the Bills, we talk about them. They're kind of fraudulent. You talk about the Bills. The only good team the Bills have lost, I'm not even sure if they're that good because every time they play somebody, they lose to a good team. So the AFC East might be fraudulent in general. I mean,
look, the first 15 was great from the Chiefs, and they knew they had to start fast. They're on the road. They lose a home game at Arrowhead against, one of the best. If you want to have a home game, you want it to be against a team that does what the Dolphins do offensively. You want to make it tough, muddy up the communication. And they go on the road. They're able to start fast. They get down the field and score early with their first 15. Clean red zone execution. Obviously, going up 21-0, I'm laughing, having a great time in the studio. Next thing you know, it's a damn close ball game. But look, the turnover to Tyreek Hill, McDuffie showing up in a big way, making that stop, getting the ball out. It's so on brand for the Chiefs to be doing laterals. Well, because in practice, that's what they do. Like if Travis catches a corner route, 15-yard corner route on his way back to put the ball back, they're doing laterals the whole way back. The DBs do it. The receivers do it when they have the ball. It's part of having fun and playing ball in Andy Reid's culture. And you got to see it with the defense. They lateraled the ball. And then Cook, the fastest ball carrier, I think, on the field.
Of the weekend, maybe? Or,
the weekend, maybe. I mean, it was like...
somebody's going to be like, he was not.
It was him running by supercars. You know what I mean? Like, when he had that ball and he really strided and made... Strode?
Strided.
And made that extra effort for the score. It was awesome, and it's indicative. It's indicative of this football team. And we talked about the Chiefs kind of replicating and doing their own version of what the Patriots have done with their dynasty. It's not going to be pretty all the time.
Not every year. It's not going to be
But you're going to win football. You're going to win more than you're going to lose, and you're going to have a chance to win every single football game that you're in.
I think they did a great job on both sides of the ball of taking turns to take control out of this game. And, like the offense, people talk about, hey, where was Kelsey, right? Well, look at that first drive. I mean, like the Gray and Watson plays, the Gray shot, it's drawing Howard into the flat. That's what Kelsey did, made that possible. The Watson drop in the end zone, they eventually scored anyways, but he gets that play as wide open as it is because he's drawing defenders into the corner of the end zone. Everybody's eyes are on him on the McKinnon touchdown. So even when Kelsey's not getting a bunch of balls, he's helping. I want to see more yak out of Rashee Rice. I think he's your best guy with the ball in his hands, not named Kadarius Toney, but Kadarius Toney is a sketch ball. We don't know what the fuck he's going to do, play in and play out.
Ruined my parlay.
Yeah, I mean, so, and when they take shots, Kyle, it can't go off MBS's hands. I mean, they've had drops this year.
Beautiful ball, too.
We know about week 1 with Toney. We know about last week, on a money down, 4th down, you get a drop in the end zone. This is not a team that's going to have a million opportunities to hit these explosives. So when you get them, you have to hit them. Now, the mistakes that repeat themselves, like the sack fumble was almost a repeat of last week. You're in 3rd and long a lot late in the first half. You're in 3rd and 18, 3rd and 20 in third quarter, 3rd and 9 in the fourth quarter. And then the special teams mistake that repeated with the Mecole Hardman thing. He doesn't drop the ball, but he fair catches the ball on the 2-yard line. So there's a lot of things that are popping up with this team that are making them human, including a Chris Jones penalty that gave them life. And if you remember Chris Jones last year, and I know he's frustrated. They're doubling him, they're sliding to him, and some of the time somebody will say something slick, and I'm like, where do you get off calling me whatever you just called me? It takes 3 of you motherfuckers to block me. The whole game plan is me, but you're frustrated. You get the late shove. It happened in Indy last year when they lost to the Colts. And I thought, this is going to be a repeat.
Forgot about that.
Where you look back and it's like, I think he hit Matt Ryan or something or somebody.
Yeah.
But the drive starts.
That one game we were like, what the fuck, Chiefs?
Yeah. Well, nothing to worry about. The drive starts. They're not great 2 weeks in a row in spots. And my biggest complaint about the Chiefs offense yesterday, and I don't want to make this all about the mistakes, but I thought Mahomes was really gutsy in spots, and they did what they had to do. They ran the ball into light boxes because Fangio was just, hey, 2 shells sitting back. The biggest thing that I hated was at the end of the game, you come off the sideline. Nagy has choice words for the offense. They're impassioned. You're hearing all this bullshit. And then you drop back and throw the ball on 3rd and 1, Kyle, with 2:36 to go.
You know what?
I hate it, Kyle. You can tell me I hate it.
I know you hate it, and a lot of people hate it. But I'm going to be the contrarian here and just tell you this. Look, if you throw that football, I mean, look, you want to run the football and get a first down, stay on schedule. But if you can't, if you got 3rd and medium, and you do elect to throw the ball,
3rd and 1 though.
But if it's 3rd and medium or less, really, I want to run the ball.
Yeah.
But if you are throwing the football in this situation, can't roll out, can't take a sack, can't have a turnover.
In that situation, I would have been okay with taking a sack to force them to use
you take
one
a sack,
of their
there's
2
two things.
timeouts.
If you take a sack, the game works out for you, but the season could go wrong. Pat, you can't take sacks if you're Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, well then don't throw the ball. In my opinion, it's 3rd and 1, dude. Just pick up a yard and you can ice this game.
That's just no faith.
And it showed up. I'll talk about it in Philly too.
No
I hated Philly's shot on 3rd and 3 at the end of the game. Hated the shot. You almost end up losing the game because of that.
There's people in the chat saying Sirianni should be fired over that call.
Man, I don't know about all that. My man's coaching really well, but like Andy Reid, it happens to the best coaches in the world. Okay,
I don't know. Like sometimes
I just hate the call, and you could.
It's like how I want to go shotgun in the low red with Lamar Jackson, and J.J. Watt told me the other day, don't ever fucking go shotgun in the red area, and I'm like, don't ever not go shotgun.
Don't ever not go shotgun.
So in this situation, I'm like, don't ever not put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands when you have an opportunity.
So how about a run pass option or something at the sticks?
We can agree there,
but I disagree still. Because okay. I'm like,
I always want the ball in his hands. Same way I always want the ball in Lamar's hands with opportunities to extend drives.
That's fine, Kyle. I
don't want sacks.
I feel like you can ice the game there. And then the Finns on defense, I thought they tightened up in some big spots, and the coverage was better in the second half. Two guys, Chubb, we talk about him and the ROI on that trade. He did make two of the biggest plays, especially had they won, of his career, the sack fumble and then the pressure on 3rd and 1. Like, these are big plays, huge plays to flip get the ball in your hands or get the ball back on a short field.
It worries me about the Chiefs being able to protect Patrick in big situations. Gotta have it situations. We saw it last week, 2 times the pass rushers getting their hands chopping on Patrick's throwing arm during the motion. It's dangerous stuff. I hate seeing people around Patrick. He runs the ball great. He usually gets out of bounds, but it's the stuff when he's in the pocket that's sketchy to me.
And they were trying to kill Patrick yesterday. I mean, like, legally, and in some cases,
if I was playing him, I'd try to kill him too.
Sealer hitting him up top, a couple times. The Van Ginkel play on the sideline, which you could say, hey, it's at the sticks or whatever. But he got drilled. There was one 3rd and 18 where he comes up just short of the sticks. He got hit so hard. He just laid on the ground like this, and I was like, oh, my God, Patrick's dead. but like, so funny.
He makes me laugh so much.
Because he wasn't dead. But the point is, like, Miami they came out and they were like, we're going to make this thing chippy. We're going to make it muddy, and we're going to hit Patrick every chance we get. So credit to him for being tough as fuck.
Same thing that Spag said to their defense about Tyreek, though. Like, we're going to just glove him. We're going to just play man. We're going to frustrate these guys. We're going to force them to get open.
And that's what they did, Colin. I loved it because they blitzed 36% of the time. I said this last week. Even on early downs, press these guys. Some people were like, what? Yeah, press these guys on early downs. They pressed 43 out of 58 plays. Snead was putting those erector set arms on anybody he could touch. Now, sometimes he missed, but who's playing quarterback in these big situations? Okay? When the clock sped up, when you take away his first read,
somebody open,
the facts are the fucking facts, guys. The facts are the facts. When do you apologize to me for your takes?
This is an apology game.
Okay, because I've given it like 7 games against playoff teams. They're averaging 14, 17 points a game in those games. I mean, not even playoff teams, sometimes just teams with winning records. It wasn't just Tua, though, okay? Like, because I don't think he's the reason they lost this game. That final set of downs where they had 4 shots at it, there were some plays that were his fault. We'll talk about that. But, you get a false start on Claypool on 3rd and 9. You get the wide receivers backing him up on the second 3rd and 9. You get a Jeff Wilson drop on 3rd and 10. You get an intentional grounding that causes 3rd and 26. They're 3rd and 20 before they get bailed out by Chris Jones. So they were not great as a team. Claypool saved their bacon on that fumble with Mostert, so I got to give him credit there. But he's kind of a waste on the field. Like, you get a tight end out there.
They put him in and they had somebody lining him up.
They had somebody lining him up,
it's man. Like, dude, that's the clear indicator.
So there's some games where I want to say, hey, Tua's got to play better, and he does.
Even the Jeff Wilson touchdown, the first one, was heavy traffic, buddy.
Yep.
That's sketchy ball territory. Sketchy ball play.
Sketchy ball territory. So my point, but that's the only time they heard him on the blitz to Cedric Wilson. That's the only time they heard him on the blitz.
Cedric Wilson.
So for the most part, you survive against these guys if you have good players on defense. Yeah, he was a running back. He was in Miami too. So it happens. But like they blitzed them, they pressed, they weren't afraid. And then when it got down to nut cutting time, these are the 4 plays. First down, and this is really interesting. I got to check out the All 22 because last night I was at home with my shitty internet. Thank you, Elon. And it's 1st and 10. They have Tyreek. Tyreek is open at the sticks, and this is 90 seconds to go on the 31 or whatever it is. He's open at the sticks. I think Mike Dana puts his hand up, and he gets in that throwing window, and Tua has to go away. But the thing is, he just panics. He turns the other way. He throws the ball blind. It's almost picked off. 2nd down, miss. 3rd down, I have no idea what that is. I have taken time to consider that it could be a back shoulder fade. I have taken time to consider that he might be throwing it out. But the thing for me that looks funny is, number one, it's the wrong call because, he's got that defender beat for a touchdown. We're going to overtime, or it's another drive for Kansas City. If you look at that ball compared to some of his back shoulder stuff, I don't know if I see back shoulder. No. So I just think he got the yips. I think he got the yips last second, maybe realized he didn't make the right call, and he just kind of halfway let it go. it was one of those like, holy shit, what was that? And everybody on the broadcast, nobody said anything. Everybody was just like, missed opportunity. I texted Dan Orlovsky this morning. He hasn't answered me yet. I was like, what are we going with? Are we going with back shoulder fade? Because he's always giving me shit about my Tua takes. Are we going back shoulder fade on that? Is that what we're going with?
Dan did a great job yesterday. Him and Rich.
Him and Rich are great. McCourty's great.
McCourty's funny.
So just in that situation, whether it's just a bad read, I'm not saying he threw that ball as hard as he could. Nobody, like, fuck. It could be a situation like Josh last night where they called grounding on Josh. But the difference is this is a key situation in the game, and we got to have it. And your track record's not great in these games. So this was a huge opportunity on third down, and then on fourth down, Spags going 0 blitz, and the sight of it took his eyes off the snap. They said, wayward snap, catch that snap. And I know Jalen Hurts dropped the snap in the fucking Super Bowl. You know what the difference is? Jalen Hurts is in the Super Bowl. Yep. It took him, he had to win a bunch of games to get there, and he's still winning those games against good football teams. So if you want to talk about the Dolphins, the way you've talked about them for 2 years, they have to show me. They have not shown me. So until that happens, I'm going to keep saying this on Mondays. You can fucking be pissed off about it, but I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it anymore about this team. Because I've had to sit here for 2 years and be gaslighted.
And the stat that's going around is they're 0-3 against teams with winning records this year.
6-0.
And some of it is the team. It's not all the quarterback. McDaniel's a great coach. But go out there and execute. All those penalties in the first half, and then in crunch time to do that, it's just, and Willie Gay deserves a big shout out, Kyle.
He's a freak show.
With a tailbone, people weren't sure what they were going to get out of him.
They've had so much production out of him, and you know what? With Bolton being sidelined, Willie's been asked to step up, and against this unit, like the Miami unit, all the challenges that you're going to face defensively, for Willie to step up, and a lot of these guys are playing banged up at this point in the season. And Chiefs going into a bye week, Andy Reid talked about, it's bad enough to lose a game the way we did against Denver. Yeah. But then you go to Europe. If we lose this game here, it would have been really tough. And that's a long 8-hour flight home. So
Willie's got that 8-hour flight on a tailbone, and he goes out there and plays away. That he forced 2nd and 16 on that second to last drive. That was huge. They're at midfield. Once the Dolphins are behind the sticks against a good team defensively, it's a lot harder. And so just getting that play on first and second down. Hey, we said it. Press these guys. You're going to like what happens. Press them. Man them up. Don't be afraid of these guys.
Patrick if you have the guys outside. Patrick said they're going to be fine on offense.
Don't be afraid.
I trust him.
Yeah.
If there's somebody I trust, it's Patrick Mahomes. And he said, we're going to get this thing figured out. They asked him if it's the best defense he's ever played with. And he said, it's definitely, he said, I think that we got the best defense in the league.
And statistically, it's the best defense he's ever had. He's never had an above-average defense, and this year finally it is.
All right, so
EPA, kind of classy. Dynamite to show his hand there too.
Dynamite segue though. Whose defense is better, Baltimore or Kansas City? Because
Baltimore.
I'm not ready to say that. I'm sure they're better statistically and all that stuff, but I've seen this defense prove it in the postseason. So part of it, for me, with Spags and Kansas City, like McDonald's doing a great job. They're talking about him as a head coach maybe at some point. They are doing a terrific job. But I would give the nod to Kansas City until I see them not perform in big spots. And I got to see Baltimore do it down the stretch. Right now, here's what I think I realized about Baltimore yesterday. It's so easy to look at the sum of the parts. They don't have any superstars, right? Although I'd say Kyle Hamilton might be a superstar in the making. Right. You've got a corner who's a top 5-7 corner, depending on how you look at it when he's healthy. The guys up front are good, but on paper before the season, it was a big question mark. Where are you getting your pass rush from? You bring in Clowney. That's a hit or miss year-to-year thing. Matabike's got 8 sacks. Yep. Owe had a sack yesterday on a spin. But here's what I think about this defense that people don't realize, and maybe Seattle doesn't realize it looking at them on film. But when you roll into Baltimore and you look across from you got that big motherfucker inside, and you got Matabike, you've got those 2 big, huge edge guys. Owe looks like a fucking G.I. Joe. Yeah. Clowney's huge. They're just big and physical. I think sometimes you can't measure that on film.
And then the second level moves fast, and they're just as physical as the front.
They're very physical on the back end.
Van Noy playing great ball.
Van Noy's playing great. He's had 4 sacks since he's been there. Yep. So they're physical. They rush well off each other. Van Noy had a TE that was like a natural. They're buying into the team defense concept. They remind me of the New England defense the year we got all out over our skis about them in 2018, I think it was, and we were like, they're historically good. We did this a month ago with Cleveland. Not so, right? They're not historically good. They're very good. Baltimore might be better than that New England defense, though. And again, you didn't know where the pass rush was coming from, but they're leading the league in sacks. So,
and you talk about a team that can take on the identity of the success that their offense is having too. I mean, you bring in a new guy, new offensive stuff for Lamar to feed on, and he's not at that bone. We're not even at the bone yet. He's still at the meat of that.
Yeah.
Of that cut.
Wait till he gets to the marrow.
And the defense is like, hey, look at them. Like we can grow too. I mean, I know to your point, they don't have guys that are like world beaters all over the field, but as a unit, they're great. And Roquan Smith, it seems like every big game that they have, he has something to say before the game. And it's never disrespectful, but
there's your superstar.
It's always
that's your superstar.
Well, that's what I think of when I think of the Ravens. I think about Roquan.
That's your superstar.
Control in the middle of the field. He's doing the communication. Him and Queen are awesome. But look, I played with him. He's a freak. And when he says something, I believe him. Just like when I talk about Patrick getting that offense ready. If Roquan says they're ready to roll, I think they're ready to roll.
Dude, the guy's a stud. And, we've talked a lot about how just it instills confidence in you when you have a guy behind you that's lining you up. And also when as one of those big guys, double teams are going to come off me. I'm going to see color flash through my gap, and there's going to be a TFL. And, he's just like a missile out there. And I thought they did a great job of making Geno uncomfortable. I mean, I don't know what happened on that pick. If it's I think it was JSN, or was it Lockett?
Lockett.
It was Lockett. And here's what they said in the broadcast. Was Tony and them were saying that he thought he saw 0, and so he just went there, and they bailed out and played coverage, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever it was, there's too many of these with the Seattle offense. Whether it's JSN bobbling a ball on 3rd and 5 to start the game, which you can't do on the road. No third down you can take for granted against a better team on the road. Or it's the miscommunication with Tyler Lockett. These are two veteran players. Right. I talked about it last week up in Seattle against Cleveland. There were a lot of little fuck-ups that maybe don't, it's an option route, somebody's taking the wrong way, or you don't know where you're putting the ball. I expect better out of that offense in the passing game. And where they're really disappointing, and the reason I don't take them that seriously, and a week ago we're talking about, hey, they're in front of the Niners in the NFC West, the whole thing. That's fine, and they're a good football team. But I can't expect them to go win 3-4 games and get in the Super Bowl and win it if you can't convert on 3rd down and you're terrible in the red zone. I hate to boil it down to something so boring, but until you do that, it's hard to take you seriously, is what I've decided.
Big tip of the cap to the personnel department in Baltimore. You're bringing in all these guys all the time and trying to make the pieces work. And like you said, it's a unit more than it is stars, and there are stars on the team. But one guy who stepped up big, rookie Keaton Mitchell, he had 9 carries, 138 yards and a touchdown. Undrafted rookie, star in the making, question mark. That's what I wrote, 40-yard and 60-yard run. And you know what? His dad, Anthony Mitchell, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens as a safety. That's so uniquely Baltimore.
It is. It was such a big lift that I don't think anybody saw. Like, maybe if you're a Ravens fan, this kid's going to get some burn at some point. It's supposed to be really fast, looks even faster on the field. But there was one drive in the first half and one drive in the second half that they featured him, which is huge, right? Because if you're Baltimore, you know 2 things. We want to use this kid. We like him. And number 2, every time we give him the ball, it's less chance that we're down another running back to Gus Edwards or with Justice Hill. Like, a 3-headed monster in that running back room really fits what they do, because they ran the ball 44 times, which also means they came into this game expecting to run the ball 44
against a
times.
team who was number 1 in the NFL versus rushing.
And they knew
running backs, and Seattle, Baltimore was like, fuck it.
Yeah, plus Leonard Williams. Oh yeah, throw Leonard Williams in there.
Though.
Nothing. It doesn't matter. And as much as I want to put the game on the defense, because when you look at that fucking Seattle in plus territory, middle 8 before the half, comes up with no points. They have 2 opportunities. In fact, they give it back to Baltimore, kicks a field goal. I know it's a tough spot for you, but you come out in the second half as a defense, and they're going to run the ball. The very first play, it's Gus Edwards for an explosive, and he's running through Witherspoon, and they're moving guys on the double. And it just felt like you come into the half, you had to have an attitude of my back's against the wall as a defense. At this point, we're down 17-3. I always say, stopping a score, as a gambler or as a player who's used to being down in games. Being down 17 in a situation like that is so much different. You had to shut the door. And the very first play, the second half, you weren't ready for the challenge. There's somebody I want to shout out on the Baltimore offensive line. That entire offensive line gave Lamar a lot of time, okay, except for the Mafe burst, which was great. I thought that was Mafe's most impressive sack of the season on Ronnie Stanley. But John Simpson is a guy that keeps popping up for me when I watch tape and a guy that gets me excited. I talked about when they played Cleveland, the very first play of the game, before they ran for about 300 yards. Not that John Simpson. It was, big old John Simpson, who I caught on a hot mic after one of the touchdowns saying, I fucked that bitch up. And I was like, who was that? I got to go back and see. So I went back and I looked, and it only could have been John Simpson. I mean, he flat backed somebody. He was a big part of that double team to start the second half.
Hey, go up. Yeah, right there.
If you
pre-draft measurables.
Go to Mitchell's touchdown and watch what he did. This guy adds a physical element to that offensive line that fits who they want to be perfectly. And I just want to shout him out in the run game. I really like this guy. Not a lot of people talk about him, but he's got that attitude. The first play of that Cleveland game, they ran counter or something like that, and he flat backs Zadarius Smith, and it set the tone for the whole game. And so I really like John Simpson. I want to shout out one of your guys, Kyle, offensive lineman.
They challenged him Saturday night in that meeting room. They say, hey, play one, big dog. We're going your way.
Play one.
We're going at Big Zadarius, and they turn. The whole team's in that room.
Exactly, dude. They do that.
The whole team's in the room. You know,
we're gonna get out. We're gonna get out on the right
track. I got challenged on Saturday nights, not at the end, but at the beginning.
Yeah.
He's in that point in his career. You can make yourself the guy you want to be, and that's awesome. Good shout out there.
So shouting out John Simpson, and then also just Todd Monken. He might play himself into a fucking head coaching job. We were talking about this, which kind of sucks because this offense is rolling, and they can win different ways.
Chicago.
And if you look at the Mitchell touchdown once more, it is hell for linebackers. Whether it was Detroit coming to Baltimore or whether it was Seattle coming to Baltimore, linebackers are in a blender early and often. And if you watch the Mitchell touchdown, everybody's split out. So they, because they can throw the ball and because they have a quarterback who right now is playing like the MVP. I got asked last week, who's the MVP? And I said, it's either Mahomes, if we're doing it off of who's actually most valuable. But if we're just doing stats, I'm sure they'll give it to Tua. But if you want to give it to a quarterback who's doing both things and playing at a high level, it's Lamar Jackson right now. And
equal odds right now, both plus 350.
Him and Mahomes.
Yep.
And that's the way it should be.
Lower.
Yeah, he's got a little more work to do.
I got to put my money on him.
Where's Stroud?
Yeah, you like that.
You like that.
You like that.
You like that.
But that Mitchell touchdown is a perfect example of why it's so hard on linebackers. You got one guy in the middle of the field. He's got 30 yards of grass to cover. Lamar's got the fake. He's carrying it out. His eyes are on him.
It's like being a babysitter at a Mormon house, baby.
Yeah, it's like Jaron Hall's babysitter.
There's a lot going on.
That's good, Kyle.
A lot of Zach Wilsons
That's
running
good,
around.
Kyle. Fucking Darren Hall almost met Joseph Smith yesterday at the goal line, dude.
Stop, dude.
That was crazy.
I took it too far. He talked to him for a minute.
He did. He was like, go back out there, but maybe not this week because Josh Dobbs is really good.
The stone tablet was the field.
Geno Stone, so Geno Stone is another example. We got to shout him out. You're down somebody at safety. Marcus Williams has been up and down. This guy's been such a plus. You have to think about not taking him off the field. So they have stepped up in a lot of ways. You haven't even gotten that much out of Beckham yet, which was a big theme yesterday. And I think he's pressing because he got the ball out away from his body.
That fumble was tough.
It was tough. But you're going to get better as a team. They're built for December. There's guys that are emerging right now on their team. And then, guys, we were wondering early this offseason, what makes Mark Andrews so good? And I texted Zach Ertz. Because sometimes with tight ends, I don't know. I'll tell you what makes him so good. Not only is he very good, but he plays in this fucking offense, man.
Right.
It's impossible for a linebacker to contend with everything they have to contend with and worry about one of the best pass-catching tight ends in the league.
He's a tough cookie as well.
Are they the best coach team in the league? The Ravens?
They're playing like it. They're playing like it.
You mentioned their OC and DC as potential head coaching candidates.
Well, they are playing
They're
like
historically full pads in March and April.
Yeah.
So.
And
they better play fucking
But good job to them for ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, hey, we want a new DC, we want a new OC. John didn't, maybe he had to do that, I don't know. But they did it, and it's paying off.
It'd be cool if OC Euro was an OC.
What up, OC?
Trying to think of somebody named DC.
It'd be cool if CD Lamb was a CD.
Okay. They were selling a lot of CDs in Tuscaloosa. Ryan Russillo was out shopping. He was shopping. They had a bunch of compact discs on the wall. Like, it's not. I want to move to Tuscaloosa.
CD's
cool.
lit.
Okay. All right.
Do they have an Apple store?
No, probably not.
About.
Okay, Cincy and Buffalo. If we're talking about the AFC elites, golly, are they an AFC elite now? Because
yes,
who do you trust the most in the AFC?
Joe Burrow. It's Joe Burrow and that defense. You know, the defense has been awesome, and Joe Burrow wasn't healthy early, but he's healthy now. And I'll tell you what, last week was a historical performance by Joe Burrow. He really did look like the MVP. And then you watch this Bills game, and you're like, he's doing it again. This fucker's doing it again. And not even involving Jamar Chase. I was playing Counter-Strike while I was watching this game, and I was in Discord with my buddy Jake, who is actually a Greenlight listener. Shout out to Jake the Snake. And he was emotional about the lack of involvement of Jamar Chase. And I was like, you should be giddy. T. Higgins, he's dominating. Joe Burrow looks great. Joe Mixon. Orlando Brown's making blocks down the field. Gap scheme is working.
Yeah.
The Bengals look awesome.
Yeah, they do.
And then Jamar made catches late. He got banged up. He had the heat pad on for a bit, which is good. I think it had the copper fit in there because when he came back out there, he was looking like, Jerry Rice.
Dude, listen, and it's
But
so
the defense.
it's so striking when you watch this game because since he goes out there and their first 15 is like it's intentional. They're running people through zones. There's misdirection. There's a strong run game. There's stuff on the perimeter. It's people in the middle of the field are running sideways. They're being set up to do something else, which is what
It's a trap.
Which is what you have to do when you're calling a football game, right? You are presenting something and stressing people out.
Chess.
It's chess. Buffalo's not playing chess.
I've never won it.
Buffalo plays checkers. No, they do. They just try to get first downs. And, whether it's an extended play where Josh has to take a while and maybe burn it, or maybe something goes bad, or it's something quick. And, you can't throw that pick. That's cover 2, man. That it's basic shit. You're backed up. I don't understand that throw. And the juxtaposition of looking at them with no run game and just rolling out and doing the same thing. I talked about, I was encouraged that they figured out how to play with 11 personnel last week. It looked better on them. I thought their best drive of the game at the end of the third quarter, Josh, there was some quarterback run in there. But where it ends up is with a Dalton Kincaid fumble. And if they go in there, I feel like they might win that game as bad as they played in spots.
Dude, that fucking before the half, dude, that's not intentional grounding. And Collinsworth was pissed. I was pissed.
He was
Collinsworth
even
said,
pushing
let me
back.
tell you what happened.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
If he's like,
They go to the guy in the booth.
Macaulay, what happened? Macaulay said a quarterback, as long as he is, he throws the ball inbounds, he can throw it over the head of the receiver outside the numbers, inbounds.
So you agree here,
You
Nolan?
can throw it as far as you want. Now, let me finish here. Over the receiver's head, and that's what he did. Yeah. But Terry McAulay, right after he described what the fucking thing is, he said, yeah, but that's a little bit too far. And I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
That's not intentional grounding. It's an option route. I thought it was awesome by Chris Collinsworth breaking it down in the moment. He said, let me tell you what happened.
And I'm not, again, we go back to Tua's throw. I mean, they could both be miscommunications. So, I mean, grain of salt here, but it probably
field position
wasn't.
played a huge part in the
But
Eagles.
It's
Dallas
end of
game
half.
too.
It's end of half, man. You get 3 points here, you feel a lot better, right? You don't get any points, and that's just it's bad ball. And so the pick.
Josh ran off the bench.
God damn, dude.
He ran off the bench. Oh, that's brutal. And it was such a delayed call too.
It was.
It wasn't like ball hit the ground. The guy was like, I saw it the whole way. I'm gonna throw it. It was like. There was a lull in the action. It was almost like when a streaker comes on the field, it's during a lull in the action. They're like, oh, there's a streak. They're like, it's a flag on the field. And I was like, what the fuck is the flag for?
Yeah. What is this,
I was
naked
losing
people?
it. I was losing
I know you were. I can feel
I
it.
wanted it to be I wanted it to be boom, 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 back and forth. And I wanted the game to be tighter than it was.
So did I. My teasers hit, but it would have been nice to get +3. Fucking, here's the deal about Cincy. We talked earlier about how intentional they are. They're also just so automatic with 3 downs. They know how to get while they set you up, while they stick to the game plan. It just feels like if it's 3rd and 3, it's automatic. Like their quick game is so automatic, and Joe is so decisive, and he can extend plays again because he was hurt. It just looks like them, and it's even on defense, the way that Lou morphed them into a top 10 defense again. It's like they fucking. It's like. It's like a medication that doesn't kick in for 4 games. I don't know what's going on with these guys year after year, but they look great. And I thought for the Bills, more than anything, you can say, hey, it was going to be a tough day at the office. It's hard to match up with those 3 receivers, but the tight ends killed you. And there were situations where your best players didn't show up in coverage and in other spots. And, like you talk about that touchdown to Irv in the corner of the end zone. Okay, that's Poyer. There's Boyd on Hyde on 3rd and 10. This was a really bad one. You want to talk about the middle 8. At this point, before the Drew Sample touchdown, you're in this thing. You feel really good considering how you played, but they kind of sneak Sample's in the protection, and then I think it's Hyde sneaks down and just misses him. He comes out and he scores a touchdown. So, 3rd and 1 on your 22. You can get off the field. 3rd and 1, they're backed up. You're chasing them. 12 minutes to go. They go Sample for 17 yards. 5 minutes later,
I love Sample out of the backfield.
50 yards later, you get the ball back, right? So Dane Jackson got picked on that drive. It just felt like they couldn't get him off the field in key situations. And then 3rd and 3 at the end of the game, Von Miller. That's a tough one.
Tough.
It's a tough play to make.
Got to make that.
Got to make the play, right?
Your best guy versus their best guy. Like one-on-one game on the line. You got to make that tackle. Like it sucks. It sucks that he did.
Fate of the universe on the line.
Yeah.
Death Blazer.
But the Bills, I think.
I don't watch sci-fi.
I think for the Bills, their biggest issue is they don't have a real identity. Like how you're talking about Joe Burrow and like they know when it's 3rd or 4th and short, they have a quick out. They have these plays. With the Bills, they're all over the place. And what are they really doing? Like offense, you don't know what type of team they are.
They're Josh Allen. They're Josh Allen, go get us a first down.
Special teams is terrible. And then on defense, it's just like you have the guys, but like you don't have an identity. It's like people like they're not afraid of you, will run on you, will pass on you, will scheme you. And it sucks. They're a really good team, but there's not too many good teams without identities.
Milano injury. And, hey, at the end of the day, it's 24 points at the Bengals. It's not like the defense lost this game. First things first, the offense, you got to expect more out of them. And more than anything, you want Joe Burrow and the Bengals encapsulated in one play. It's 4-minute mode going for the throat to Boyd. I mean, it's that's it. Even if you stop them, it's going to be even harder now. And you're in plus territory right off the bat because you have the balls to say, hey, fuck the clock. We're just going to take a shot here. And Joe Burrow's the guy you trust with that in that situation.
I also noticed during the game, and obviously DeMar Hamlin being healthy and on the sideline is awesome. They show him so much. He was picking his teeth and they were showing him yesterday between Chris and Mike in the booth. I was like, man, he just kind of probably wants to hide at this point.
Who's that?
DeMar Hamlin.
Oh, Hamlin, yeah.
They just got a ham cam.
Yeah, ham cam. Last night was the night for the ham cam because, I think when the game started, I don't know how the players felt, but we weren't sure how it was going to play out, if guys were going to be – there were some big collisions last night. There were some guys that went down for a second. I know it's tough having seen what you saw last year on the field and going back to the very place.
I almost forget that it happened every time, like in a good way. It's like we're watching football. It's like normalizing watching football and not just thinking about injuries because as a player, you get injured so much. That's all you think about when you see piles. It's not, oh, wow, I did that. It's how did I do that for so long? So I watched the DeMar stuff, and I'm like, man, he just probably wants to chill. I mean, he did a great job. All his interviews, obviously great coverage by NBC, but – Man, oh man.
He probably just wants to watch the game.
Let's just watch the game.
Yeah.
Put his Zen in. Chill.
Yeah, Zen and chill.
He seems like a chill guy.
He seems awesome, man.
He seems super chill.
Not that he needs to hear anything else great about him, but he's the fucking...
We don't have a cam on him.
Yeah. All right. Philly, Dallas, right? Because this was the big marquee game.
It's going to be all right.
Listen, I'm not surprised. Yeah, and we were going back and forth during the game because Nate is the biggest troll on the planet, as you know.
Oh, we know
And early in this game, I just kept repeating, we're going to be all right. And then, the Eagles did something bad, and he goes, we're going to be all right, right? And he knows I got money on the game and the whole thing. But the best thing about Nate is after that, he's always like, what? I wouldn't say anything. He's a real throw a rock, hide your hand kind of guy. And somebody in the group chat was like, he is like that guy that'll ride you the whole day, and when you say anything back, he goes, "Oh, you're being sensitive," which is today's generation's way of arguing, honestly. But not that you're that much younger than me.
We got the win, though.
We got the win.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
I felt really good about this game coming in, and I felt horrible about it late. And I kept telling you guys, we're going to lose this game. We're going to lose this game.
Micah did everything he could
because not to go backwards, forwards here. But at the end of the game, I mentioned that 3rd and 3. To me, you've already shown the propensity to go backed up. Also in that situation, you're up 28-23. If what you're guarding against is a touchdown, you give them a shorter field in that situation. If they do score, I feel great about you going with a little bit more time to come back and kick that field goal. But punting them the ball, if they do score, it's going to be a longer drive. Now, you got the stop there. What they ended up doing was marching down the field in under a minute and nearly fucking turning all my hair is gray. But I felt like when you have that opportunity on 3rd and 3, the way you're built, the way you've run the ball at times during this game, to take that shot. I know you have A.J. Brown on Bland. I know you hit a 4th and 3 a couple weeks ago. But nah, dude, I
aggressive.
Pound the fucking rock because I know you have 2 downs in your head. If it's 4th and 3/4 of a yard, like they're gonna tush push it, and at that point they take the shot and they end up damn near losing the game because they fumble the next possession on 3rd down when they're trying to ice it. Thank God for that backup guard falling on that motherfucker. You know, Micah Parsons was beating him at times pretty bad, but he made the play of the game, jumping on that fumble. So
I thought the play of the game was the 2-point conversion, in all honesty. And
huge.
As an offense, you get down there, you score, you have an opportunity to make it a 3-point game. Dak does everything he can in his power to get in the end zone. He does. That foot is out. I'm not a quarterback. I'm not a ball carrier, but I'm like, just dive. It's one of those dive situations.
It's what we said.
It's one of those Texas high school football. You know what I mean?
It's what we said after the game. It's,
because then you get the next possession. They get, they're at the 45, and then they're at the 40, and then they get sacked, and then they have to go back and get those yards again. Now you're looking at, they could have kicked the field goal on the first.
He missed the tight end wide open on that 4th.
Could have kicked the field goal from where like that drive was right there.
He's not the reason they lost the game. Okay. Like,
no. But that play happened to be big. I'm not blaming.
And I'll put it on.
I'm not blaming.
I know
Dak.
Some people might say, hey, we don't like
Dak
or it's because it's Philly and Dallas. Dak played fine in a lot of spots, and I said this last week. Like, he is his best when he's rolling right. And one thing I think the Eagles didn't do a good enough job of sometimes was being cognizant of those rush lanes where you keep him from rolling right. I mean, there were times, the last touchdown, I think he was rolling right. Multiple conversions. You got to keep this guy off his ball hand side. They didn't do a good enough job about that and he hurt them at times. But I thought that if I had a critique for the Eagles defense, and BG played great, running him out of the 2 sacks at the end of the game for BG and Jalen Carter. They split one. BG got one solo. Those are huge, right? There's 20 seconds to go. Not only getting to Dak, but he can't get the ball out. So that's great. And they were beating Steele like a drum, like Hassan beat him for a sack, the whole thing. The protection issues did show up, although Dallas's front's pretty good. But that defense, just the heroics of that goal line stand. I mean, at that point, I think they're up 11 points. Yep. But for Dallas to go all the way down there and the deflation of Dak scrambling, and it's Slay and Dak at the goal line and Morrow, and it was just like it was NFC East vintage football. It was like when you watch the highlights of Eagles, Cowboys, or Giants, Cowboys, or those games back in the 90s where people were decapitating each other, and it was like all of America was watching in the 4 p.m. slot. Everybody was watching that blade of grass, and they defended it like their lives depended on it. And I'm not taking anything away from Dak because he just got upended, but I'm giving it to the Eagles defense because the very next play, you never know. It's like Pittsburgh in that stand, I think it was maybe against Baltimore, where they're like, you never know. The next play, if you knock him down on this quarterback option, the next play, Jackson might throw a pick in the corner of the end zone, which he did. You never know. The next play, Reed Blankenship might get that tight end down on the goal line. We go to review, we go to commercial, and it's a huge swing. So the defense, the pass rush, my big critique was too much man and too much Ricks on CeeDee Lamb. If you're an Eagles fan, you're fucking nodding your head right now because you know what I'm talking about. But like Ricks on 4th and 1 for the first touchdown, he's on Lamb. 3rd and 21 before the score. Ricks on Lamb. Ricks in the slot. They just put Lamb in there, and they went to Slay for a while. But end of game, you get Ricks on a deep over. You get Ricks on the pick play down low, which puts them in range to score. And so I just thought the matchups at times were tough, but they survived. All told,
I don't know
they
how
tightened
you
up where they had
how you
to.
can throw to your 4th option on a gotta have it situation. I mean, and they talked about it in the broadcast, but it's like, give your guys an opportunity to make a play. Give your guy an opportunity, not your guys.
Yeah.
Give your guy an opportunity to make a play.
Yep.
In that situation, I would have been so deflated as an O lineman.
Now, we haven't talked about Jalen Hurts yet, but this was heroic shit. And I don't want to overstate it because people are going to say my bias is showing and all that stuff.
You're not. I'm not an Eagles fan, and I'm saying the same thing you are.
Guy's a fucking gamer. He's a stud. The way he's on his bad knee, 300 pounds falls on that thing. I mean, I would have thought he might have, maybe if he doesn't have that brace on, I don't know if the brace is on his left knee or whatever.
Yeah.
But maybe that ACL goes. Like, that was a scary moment.
That's how I broke my leg.
Yeah, it's all that.
But there was Chris Jones.
It was David Bakhtiari for me.
That hit me.
Yeah.
Just some big fuckers we like to run into with our knees.
So I thought like the throw before the half to Devontae, the gutting out the injury, they ran the ball better in the red zone. They tied it at 14. They came out and ran the ball 6 fucking times in a row. Okay, Gainwell had a touchdown in the red zone. Other than the shot, I thought, and the protection at times wasn't as good as maybe you would have expected, but they're victims of their own success up front. They're so good that, like somebody gets beat for a sack and it's like, holy shit.
Oh, the sky's falling.
The Goddard injury is something you got to worry about. And
was there blood that I saw
on Goddard?
Yeah.
I hope not, because that would be a compound fracture.
I think it was just his elbow.
You saw what I saw.
Yeah. I think it was just one of those.
I saw
like,
that, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah. But Sirianni knew it. Sirianni knew it. He's like, we got to have points this first drive. And they did. They went push on 4th and 1. They go for it on 4th and 3 to Dallas Goedert. Beautiful throw. I think what they're aggressive anyways, right? They're going to go.
See Micah Parsons ride the tush push?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Surfing.
Also, he played great. Micah Parsons was all of his
He's just trying to will it to happen.
But I think Sirianni looks at this Dallas team, and they are front runners. Okay, like that's the way they play. They've only been down in one of their wins, and that was the Chargers, down 7-0. So if you look at the way they jump out on people, like that's a script you can't follow. You'll take the risk of going on 4th down on that opening drive multiple times because you absolutely got to have a score. And I thought that was the biggest sequence of the game, was just getting out ahead in this thing and defining the terms of this thing. And I think they knew that, and I think they were
terms and conditions brought to you by Nick Sirianni.
Speaking of Micah, how do you feel about that no call?
That was a hold, but he was saying that it was a hold during the block, like he had his hands in the framework. When he turns away from the block and it becomes this isn't a hold. This, if I'm Micah, this becomes a hold, and when you start chasing and your jersey's pulling the other way, that's a clear hold.
I think some that was a hold. You saying?
Yeah,
it was a hold.
Not at first.
Yeah,
not at first.
No, it's late. It's when the quarterback crosses that threshold of the door.
When he redirects,
which is tough for an offensive lineman because you don't know when that's happening.
Yeah, but you gotta have the great ones have a feel for that.
I hope Dallas.
Zach Martin
I hope Dallas is back soon. I think it's a surgery.
Yeah, it sounds like it could be a few weeks.
Yeah, or an IR kind of thing.
I think they said forearm fracture and then an MRI today.
So I'm hoping for the best there. We said coming into this game it had to be a big Dallas Goedert game, and he played really well in spots. It was a shame they lost him on that kind of stiff arm tackle, which is But yeah, a huge win for the Eagles. I don't think anybody's surprised. I think the Eagles are just what they are. They have a high floor, dude. They have a high floor.
And it sets up the biggest game of the season. Them and the Chiefs both have a bye, and then they'll meet on Monday night. That's going to be crazy.
November 20th.
Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni with 2 weeks to prepare.
November 20th.
That's crazy.
Chiefs, Eagles, the Long Bowl.
That's crazy. Yeah, the Long Bowl. Let's do it.
I have no games.
Is it Arrowhead?
You have a Super Bowl.
Is it at Arrowhead?
I'm not sure. I think it is.
Yeah, it's Arrowhead.
Yeah.
We got because we've been circling this one because I felt like last year.
It's a Monday night game?
I feel like this is Jalen's biggest road game of his career.
The bookends of that weekend, we're going to have Bengals at Ravens Thursday night, and then Eagles and KC.
I'll do some live streaming.
Let's maybe go.
Yeah, go. You want to go?
I mean,
let's talk about it. I got to go to Penn State this weekend.
Bro.
I'm doing a lot of. Record on Monday.
From the fucking G-Ha
What would I do with all the other ones?
G-E-H-A. I call it G-Ha!
I just think
because it's a damn good time every time.
I just think this is Jalen's like big road test where it's not like he's passing the test or failing it, and like it's a decision on. It's not like when Tua goes to Miami and they haven't beaten anybody. It's like, can you go to Arrowhead and win?
Go to Arrowhead against a defense who prides itself on pressuring quarterbacks, and you know that if Jalen's got an Achilles heel, it's against the pressure. And I thought Dallas was going to be able to show that weakness, but
he just keeps answering the bell.
Spags
He keeps answering the bell.
Scares me.
Spags is great
for any quarterback.
Spags is great.
Kyle, you want to read a message from our sponsors at Cash App?
This podcast is brought to you by Cash App, the all-in-one app for spending, sending, and setting easy-to-track saving goals. With multiple tools for saving, spending, and sending, Cash App is an all-in-one way to stay in control of your money. And Cash App has something very special for you. When you pay with the Cash App Visa card, you'll be able to automatically enter for a chance to win a 5-star VIP trip to Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. It's like throwing a game-winning touchdown pass without having to be athletic. The best part is the more times you pay between October 16th and November 9th, the more automatic entries you get for a chance to win. So whether you're buying yourself a lucky jersey or loading up on game day snacks, make the right play and pay with your Cash App Visa card. And who knows, you could find yourself at Super Bowl LVIII, which means 58
it does.
in Roman numerals. Thanks to Visa, no purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents, 21 and up, ends 11/9/23. Thanks, Cash App.
Yeah, that was killer. Good ad read, guys. We got to get to the best of the rest. I mean, those 4 games are going to take up a ton of time on this show.
There's a lot of red writing on this paper, okay?
Yeah.
Let's get to it. It's a beautiful mind.
That's honestly the way the notes look. I mean, I'm not judging your notes, buddy.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, let me see.
We're doing pretty good.
Thoughts. All right. Let's start with Tampa Bay, Houston, because I thought this was the biggest story of the day. Kyle called the big day from CJ Stroud on his Tops NFL show at CBS. I don't know what you saw, Kyle, before the game, but this is one of those days you'll remember from CJ Stroud. I mean, it's impossible. This kind of offensive production, I know Tampa Bay's not a great team, but from a rookie, it's time to start talking about how many guys you take over CJ Stroud.
1,000%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, but
he's up there.
You know, I'm more willing to buy this than I am when, like, Brock Purdy has a stretch run where he looks like an MVP. Tua has a stretch run where he looks like an MVP, because those offenses are known commodities, right? There are some really good players on those offenses. They're good coordinators. If you're a good processor like those guys seem to be, you're going to put up some stats. But, like, coming into the year, I did not think, and I know CJ Stroud hasn't done this every week, but I did not think with this cast of characters it was going to go this way. As much as I like CJ Stroud and was vocal about that, I had no idea that he'd have a day like this year. And I think, Kyle, it's the big boy throws. You know, coming in, I know he had like a strong arm and everything, but there's a difference between having a strong arm and being able to hit that ball versus cover 2 under 15 seconds to go get them down to the 10-yard line. Or the Tank Dell touchdown early in the game where he pumps Carlton Davis and just fucking puts that ball on the money, 40 yards, whatever it is. These are big dog throws. These are not little dog throws. These are big dog throws. And this guy's a big dog, Kyle.
You know, and I think about these rookie players all over the league that are having success. And we're talking about CJ Stroud now, but it goes with anybody. You talk about like the Seattle secondary guys, and I know it was a rough day for Seattle, but all over the league, there's young players that just, I feel like, don't understand how difficult it is what they're doing. And CJ Stroud's in one of those points in his career right now. 455 yards, 5 touchdowns. And, you know, Dameon Pierce out. Bad week against Carolina last week, 140 yards for CJ Stroud. I just said, look, this is a guy who knows that he controls the Texans' destiny. And DeMeco Ryans knows this. The team knows that. What was really impressive to me is you go out, you start the drive, bing, bang, boom, you're going down the field, then the fumble after a completion, and they go down and score. I mean, that's no way you want to start the game. And if you're the Houston Texans, historically, you're not a very good team. You can't afford to be turning the ball over on your opening possession. And for them to stick with it, for CJ to be able to deliver so many throws time after time, it's so impressive. And to your point, I don't know how many guys I'm going to take over CJ Stroud.
He's just got that it factor, you know, like he does. And when you pair that with the fact, the ability to make those throws, you can't measure this. Like, it's so obvious, but people don't. What's going on in here? We have no idea. And so sometimes you're like, why is this guy the way he is? Or why, you know, like, he throws a pretty ball, but like, he's got great vision. He's a great processor, and you're seeing him extend plays more, which is one of the things we talked about coming out, people wanted to see him do that more because of the college that he played at. He did it in the playoffs, and little did we know it was a little preview of what he'd look like in the pros.
His feet are great in the pocket. Like, you know how Brady was really good moving around the pocket. I know CJ's athletic and he's big and he can move around, but when he's got his feet with intent to throw in the pocket, it's awesome to see him maneuver around and deliver on that second beat, like off rhythm. Boom, get out of it, throw it down the field.
D'Amico, Coach of the Year. I mean, we've talked about him being in that conversation. I don't know if he'll win it, but we talked about how great it is. Former player, right? Yeah. Number one guy I played against. We played against D'Amico, so it's great seeing young guys get a shot. Minority coach getting a shot, fucking taking it and running with it. Defensive coach getting a shot, taking it and run with it. I mean, I love everything about the hire and how it's working out in Houston.
Coach of the Year, and then you think CJ Stroud locked up Rookie of the Year?
Offensive Rookie of the Year? Yeah, I can't think of anybody else. I get Jalen Carter, CJ Stroud.
14 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's really taking care of the ball. That's the big thing as a rookie, for you to be able to take care of the ball and in the NFL is unreal. Like unreal.
Bajan had a great half against the Saints. We're
Exactly.
going to talk about this.
But
the halftime stat line was like 220, 2 tuds. I tweeted, keep going. Or whatever. The next half,
keep going, brother.
5 turnovers. What the fuck?
Yeah.
CJ sees it differently.
Yeah.
It's like when I look at great art, like if I look at like a Jackson Pollock piece, I'm like, you mean to tell me that guy and my brain are the same? No. Humans are different, drastically different. And to your point, what goes on between
There's a lot of range in here.
What goes on between the ears is different for everybody.
Yeah,
Joe Burrow's different than Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes is different than
and as much as you want like Josh Allen to change the way he is, maybe he never changes.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like maybe Josh Allen never changes. Maybe we're just pissing in the wind asking him not to throw that ball into cover 2 last night. But there's something, just like me as a player, when I played, there were certain things that like in the heat of the moment, if I made a mistake, usually I'd go back and be like, yeah, it was a thought process I have that I just can't get away from. And, you know,
that happened to me in pass protection more than it did in run. Like the run, the run game, run blocking, Chris,
it was usually like try to do something extra or whatever.
Run blocking was easy. Yeah. Like playing the run for you, it's reactionary. Yeah. It's where you put your hands. It's how you have your feet in the ground. The pass protection stuff is a whole nother can of worms. That's where the artistry comes out as an offensive lineman.
It's hard to conquer this. And if you've got this going, it's hard to stop it. And so CJ Stroud, he's got that and then some. Congrats to him on a great day.
As well.
Shout out to Everett down there in Houston as well, our guy.
Houston.
All right, Washington, New England. Now this
is a true hanger game for me.
Buddy.
True hanger game.
Ron Rivera's like, they put their pants on just like us. Turns out it's not true. They can't even get the right pants on. Certain guys, they got the 2017 pants on. I don't know if you saw this.
How does that even happen?
Got one kind of stripe. Yeah, it was a hanger game. I'll tell you about it.
I love these.
Okay, I'll tell you about it.
That should be a segment. Let me tell you about it.
Apologies to Josh McDaniels. Mike McDaniel has a job.
Josh Mack.
Apologies to Josh, but I'm going to talk about the Patriots here. And I'm going to talk about them not great because – and that's not out of lack of loving the Patriots. You guys know I've had a hard time quitting this team. I almost wanted to bet this game. And, you know, I've had a bunch of bad takes that I've kind of hitched my wagon to them turning this thing around or Bill knowing what he's doing here. And I think Bill knows what he's doing, but this is the twilight zone for the Patriots. The Patriot way, really, we have to start asking the question, does it exist? It exists, but is it effective? Because if it's a way, right? It's like when Frank Beamer and Beamer Ball ran out of
Yankees.
Juice. And all of a sudden they started fucking up on special teams. It's like, well, why don't you just use your Beamer ball? Why don't you just use the Patriot way and get off the field on third down? Why don't you just use the Patriot way and not jump off sides on the punt at the end of the game that's going to get you the ball back? You know, shit like that. Why don't you use the Patriot way and not drop the ball, Juju, with the game on the line? Forces a pick. I mean, all these things are so un-Patriot way-like. I'm starting to wonder if it was, obviously it's a combination of the coach and the players, but like without the veterans that were there over that run, because when you walked in that locker room, you knew you were in a winning locker room. Because not just because of Bill, because I think Bill's the GOAT, and I'm not going to do this thing where because at the end of his career he's not great, or post Brady's not great. I'm going to just discount everything he did, okay? Because somebody had Peyton Manning for a while. Somebody had Steve Young for a while. Somebody had Joe Montana for a while. And he was able to cash in on not one, not two, not three, go down the line of Super Bowls that they won. And they won them separately. They were almost three different runs, which is the most important thing to me about evaluating that whole window. And Tom Brady was a couple different kinds of players over that run. I'm not taking anything away.
With different primary targets.
But what about the Devin McCourtys? Matt Slater's all alone in there. There's just not a lot of Julian Edelmans anymore. There's not a lot of Dante Hightowers. Dante Hightower is one of the best leaders that I ever played with, if not the best defensive leader that I ever played with. These guys are
strong guy too.
You don't just reintroduce that culture. It's got to carry over, and they've gotten away from it, and they play undisciplined football. And so, I don't know if the Patriots are not self-aware because of the deadline. They don't sell anybody, right? Okay, people say they can't draft. They draft people like Thornton. People say they can't get it done in free agency. They make the Jacoby Myers decision, 3 for 33. Okay, game's on the line. You get the ball to Juju. Jacoby Myers catches that ball. The whole thing. So I don't know what the Patriot way is anymore. And somebody's going to be pissed I said that, but you tell me, because, it's third downs. They made Sam Howell on third down look like fucking Brett Favre again. The chicken man was running loose.
I did read that.
I mean, 3rd and 7 backed up across his body to Pringle. I mean, it was an incredible play. Throw all the Bill against first 10 start quarterbacks stats out the window. Throw all the rookie quarterbacks coming to Foxborough stats out the window. It is not the same anymore because of shit like this. The 3rd and 9 to Pringle with 4 minutes to go in the half. You give up a 3rd and 23. Sam Howell rushing. I've been on that defense. I've made mistakes like that on that team. You make a mistake on that team when I was on the Patriots for just a year, they put your ass on the bench. I fucked up on 1st and 2nd down in the Houston playoff game. I was a 3rd down guy after that. That's the way it is. They don't have enough guys to make those decisions, So I don't get it. It's confounding.
The Patriot way is punishing good players and letting mediocre guys dominate.
I don't know.
They don't have that luxury anymore.
But they don't have
what you're saying.
They don't have the luxury of just plugging new guys in when the other guys are fucking up. The depth isn't there. I don't think they have the leadership to reinforce the culture. And, when you got Jack Jones liking tweets that say Jack Jones should have pled guilty so he went to jail and avoided playing for the Patriots, that is a bad thing, dude. That is a bad thing. Jack Jones liked that tweet, not me. Fucking
not Jack Johnson. This isn't banana
and you guys told me this. That's confirmed. Jack Jones liked that tweet.
I believe so, yeah.
I love these
Reed
stories.
just said thumbs up. So
I love these. Can you confirm?
I
never know.
I've been burnt on a couple of these.
I thought Bijan Robinson was blowing vapes in Art Smith's face in the meeting. So.
You got J.C. Jackson down. There's just a bunch of he was down early in the game. I don't know what's going on. Washington, 5 trips inside the 35, the first 8 drives. What are we doing? I want to give credit to Sam Howell. Sam Howell made some big boy throws.
He's the guy.
He's done that on and off. John Allen said he's our guy for the next decade. You might want to talk to Josh Harris about that. I'm not sure. But
Magic liked him.
But, yeah, Magic liked him.
They really mixed up the run
and the pass, which is what you want to do.
That's a good game plan.
That's a bit, right?
Not a bit.
I think it's a bit.
It's not a bit.
No, it's a bit. Which is the best bit because he's willing to have people say these things about him, but he knows he's doing it.
He's really committed to that bit if it is.
And one more shout out, Larson for the Commies. They were 6-1-1 with him starting last year. He's made a big difference for them. Not that anybody cares about who's playing center for the Commies. This is unfortunately more about the Patriots. Patriots fans are going to say, hey, we beat the Bills. You make it about the Bills. We lose to the Commies. You make it about us. You're the Patriots. You wanted me to talk about you. Here we are.
That's
what
one
the
of
fuck?
America's teams.
What's going on, dude? What's going on?
We're going to annex you soon.
What's going on?
The annexation of New England.
I don't know. Is Bill going to be there?
Rebuilding.
There's a report from Ben Violin that says that Mike Vrabel is the high value target for Robert Kraft. For Robert Kraft, his home run guy, and I think that'd be great. But I want to see.
Can you imagine?
I can.
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually can.
That would be awesome.
Indy, Carolina. I guess we have to.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say this. I'm not giving up on a quarterback in Carolina because of the way he's looked with this setup the 2 picks he threw yesterday were unforgivable. They're both pick sixes to Kenny Moore. The number 2 touchdown reception catcher this year for him is Kenny Moore.
Crazy.
Who?
Kenny Moore. He plays for the Colts.
Doesn't play for
Who?
his team.
Kenny Moore.
2?
2
pick sixes.
2 pick sixes. And when I tell you, man, if you look at what Fitter has done there, the GM, right? And Tepper, who's like kind of known to be like a meddling guy, like it doesn't feel. It
Tepper,
feels.
We're going to talk about him in the Miller Lite.
But it kind of feels like. Now they don't do any of the like sexual harassment that the Washington Commanders were doing. They don't do any of the like
panic button under the desk.
They don't do any of the like break the law kind of stuff. But as an ownership group and as an organization right now, it feels pretty dysfunctional. And when you look at, one, how they set this kid up in Bryce, I mean, that offensive line has really struggled this year. They don't have, Thielen's played really well relative to expectation, but they don't have guys. Look at their draft picks this year. Has anybody really shown enough to get excited about? I know it's a fucked up situation, so if you're a draft pick in a fucked up situation, it's harder on you. But I haven't seen anything that I'm like, yes, the Panthers' future. And if you look at the free agents they brought in, Bozeman hasn't been like a world beater there. Miles Sanders is like a backup now, I guess. Justin Houston hasn't been getting there. DJ Shark.
Justin Houston.
Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst has like a few catches on the year. So they're failing to build the right way. So has the clock even started on the build? It's like,
they're still in the CAD portion of
just
the build. They're looking at a scale model.
But they're buying bad materials.
They're spending a bunch of money on the scale model.
They're buying steel in the pandemic.
And it needs to be at least 3 times as big.
Exactly. Just wait a year.
How can we even get this team in the building?
I don't know if there's any fucking Panthers fans in here in the chat.
It's a rock fight.
I feel bad.
With a touch of blitz.
But I'm not going to give up on Bryce because I think he throws a nice ball when he knows where he wants to be, and I think he maneuvers well in the pocket. I'm just not going to give up on that. And then, the first rounders, fair or not fair, this is the way it goes. He's going to be compared to Bryce, or he's going to be compared to CJ. And then, like 2 years ago, Cross is going to be compared to Ekwonu and shit like that.
Is it the Trubisky-Mahomes conversation?
I don't think it's –
It's not.
No, because I think –
Hey, whoa. It's Overreaction Monday, guys.
I think it's going to be better than Trubisky. I do. No offense to your guy.
No, that's why I ask. I mean, and Trubisky's a solid backup.
And I don't know that CJ Stroud's Mahomes.
But I'm saying
Mahomes didn't lose in the Panthers last week.
For the sake, he didn't throw but he did have 0 touchdowns and 5 turnovers against the Broncos.
I know, but after he's already won multiple Super Bowls and that whole thing. So
history.
Yeah, we play with it how we see fit.
I like to move goalposts.
The last thing that Carolina didn't do is last year when they tried to send a whole fucking roster over for Brian Burns, they didn't take it.
Right.
And then this year again, so he didn't. Now they weren't sending like as much over, I think, this year as they were last year with Brian Burns, but. The point is, I feel bad for Bryce, and I don't know.
David Tepper stood on the table for Bryce Young, I believe.
And Bryce was like, thank you.
Bryce was like, up.
Yeah. How short is David Tepper?
I don't know.
Have you ever actually stood on the table for somebody? People always say that. Has anybody actually stood on the table for somebody?
Yeah, I feel like in the old days when there wasn't a megaphone and you had to get height and get your voice out, you would stand on your soapbox.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know how it took so long to get here, but we got to talk about the Josh Dobbs show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Dobbs.
I want to acknowledge something. Taylor Heineke did not play well. You still scored 28 points. Okay. So that's something you haven't done a lot. But they are sticking with Heineke as a starter. I think it's the right move. I that's what it sounded like.
It was the right move yesterday.
Somebody said that. Can you confirm that they said that? You guys confirming that?
It was the right.
Heineke.
It was the right
that
move
was said
going into the game with the matchup that they had. Look, styles make fights. I talked about this yesterday on CBS Sports. When you're facing a team that's going to pressure a ton, you're going to go with the guy who's been experienced. He's seen things. He's seen a bunch of different schemes, and we know how that Minnesota defense is. And with the situation they had at quarterback, they were going to lean into their identity even more. So Heineke was the better option. But, yeah, Josh Dobbs is what we got to talk about.
Josh Dobbs, man, this has got to be – I said this – we were talking about they should make a movie out of Josh Dobbs.
Yep.
If you could do 80 for Brady, Kurt Warner got a movie, and Kurt Warner, Hall of Famer and all that. But I'm kind of drawn to this Josh Dobbs story.
Yep.
You know, this Josh Dobbs story. At
Rocket
least like
scientist.
how about take the quarterback show and just do one with Josh Dobbs?
Perfect. He would sign up for it, too.
Where in the world is Josh Dobbs? It's him going in to see that he didn't have a jersey in Arizona in the pro shop. It's him beating the Cowboys. It's him showing up in Minneapolis. And, you know, when we talked about this game on the show last week, we were picking this game as if Jaren Hall was going to play. And I don't think they lose this game. I don't think Atlanta loses this game at all. I don't think there's a chance they lose this game if Jaren Hall is playing. They knock this fucker out of the game, and then Josh Dobbs comes in. Before the game, they're going through the snap count on the sideline. They're like, "Nice to meet you, bud. All right,
How hard is that, Kyle?
Cut to the score is now 5-3.
How hard would that? How hard would that be, Kyle, to learn a new quarterback's cadence?
The great thing is universally you could be a quarterback and show up to an offense and say, okay, here's my on one. White 80 said hut. You know, here's my quick count. White 80 said hut. Like that's kind of universal.
Yeah.
You can do that. The thing that is an issue is the route concepts, the check with me's, the stuff that's pre-snap, what he sees versus what the receiver sees. Yes, the snap is tough. I mean, when you never dealt with the center that you're getting snaps from, that's got to be really difficult. I've never been a center, but I've heard that bitched about a lot. You need more reps with X.
So-and-so, yeah.
So Josh Dobbs, all in all, great job. O'Connell was so happy after the game.
O'Connell's a great coach, man.
That hug, the embrace, whatever he was saying to him. I'd like to know what he said to him, by the way.
O'Connell's too good a coach because I'm just going to keep saying this. What are you going to do, Vikings? You're going to get in the playoffs? And I mean, you had Kirk Cousins and you lost to the Giants last year in the playoffs. What are you going to do if you get in the playoffs? I don't know. So my point has been Brian O'Connell, he's such Kevin O'Connell. Brian O'Connell's a fucking referee that Macon used to yell at. When we went to Madison Square Garden
That's right.
to see Michigan State and Virginia play. Of course, we lost that game before the Natty. Macon got shithouse drunk and was just screaming at this official in the quietest moments at the Garden. Brian O'Connell, I'm coming for you. So Kevin O'Connell is a hell of a football coach because he got this guy ready to play. He's such a good football coach. His only flaw is he doesn't know that the team's not great. And they're just going to keep winning these games and they'll play themselves into purgatory. Josh Dobbs, the magic man, there were both fucking ends of it. There was that fumble. It looked like he was just out there playing backyard ball where he's hurdling a guy and like drops the ball. He throws a pick to a guy right in front of him. But the 2-point conversion, the play before the half against the blitz where he scrambles on 3rd and 10, it was like he was just making magic. And he might be the next iteration of, I don't know if it's Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Fitzy's better, but I don't know if it's Minshew. Like he's the new Minshew. But people really
Minshew,
like this guy.
Rough day for Minshew.
And I mean, Bijan Robinson fumble killed you. You're up 21-13. The Falcons we're talking about these two teams in different ways. The Falcons are trying to go somewhere. The Vikings are too. I think if you're the Falcons, you should be going for it, you know? But that defense, Josh Dobbs had over 3 seconds to throw. Easily over 3 seconds to throw. And as a defensive line, you got to take that personal, man. To get beat by this guy, to let him go down the field
3
late
seconds
in the game.
a long time, buddy.
Man, that's just a brutal way to lose that game. And this should be a real gut check.
So you can drown in 3 seconds.
Really?
Like in the shower, if I fell over and there was enough water at the bottom.
Really?
It could only take like 3 seconds.
Well, I'm more interested in who Atlanta plays next week because you want to bet them. So Atlanta,
Cardinals.
oh,
It's on my sheet.
2 points? Oh, I'm going right now for like a fucking Resto Hardware Chase Lounge.
And Heineke's starting is confirmed.
Bro, I'm in, bro.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs actually is a guy. He had a 4.0 GPA, studied rocket science.
That's why he's so fucking good at
rocket
this stuff.
science. So here's my question: like, could he fucking, if he had the tools, could he build a rocket?
That's a good question, Kyle.
He interned at
Probably
NASA.
could.
Probably could.
He probably could.
Our buddy,
Like Mike McDaniel interned with the Broncos, so now he knows offense.
our spaceship buddy, our astronaut friend.
Leland Melvin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gave him a big shout out when he was in studio with us.
Oh, 2.5. I like 2 better than 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to bet the Falcons right now. Don't show this to Macon. All right. There is no I in team, but there is one in Indeed, and that's the hiring platform you need to build yours. When you're hiring, you need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Indeed makes hiring all in one place so easy because we get you one step closer to the hire by immediately watching you with quality candidate with matching you. Sorry, I'm thinking about Kyler Murray. Is he going to start this weekend? And if he starts, does it matter? You need a quarterback, you need Indeed. Okay? That's where they found Josh Dobbs. Indeed shows you the candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your description immediately after you post so you can hire faster.
Should Bill Belichick use Indeed?
Maybe. Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you only pay for applications that meet your must-have requirements. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring now with $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job. Post at Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire Sports. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Indeed.
Bill, where'd you find the disgraced Michigan guy?
Mr. Stallions.
Found him on Indeed.
Mr. Stallions.
Is his name Stallions?
Connor Stallions.
All right, somebody find out if Kyler Murray's going to play this week so I can get this bet in.
I'll tell you what he is playing.
Yeah, it's a new Call of Duty, bro.
Call of Duty.
That's all you need to know.
Modern Warfare.
Is it coming out this week?
Yeah, he'll be distracted at
He's
least.
definitely going to be distracted. There's no way he's preparing for the Falcons.
It's unbelievable that we're even having this conversation, and there's some grain of truth to it.
Yeah. Like usually shit
They
like
put
this,
they put a clause in his contract pertaining to this
and
shit.
people were like, "That's so wrong."
It is wrong.
Adam Schefter said, I won't be surprised if we see Kyler Murray on Sunday.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really a.
Well, I won't be surprised if I bet the Falcons anyways. His first fucking start, he's gonna be running around like, "Wee!"
Speaking of the Cardinals, they got blanked by the Browns.
Cardinals, man, thanks for reminding me that game happened. It did happen. So in that game, Deshaun Watson played.
They played the Browns from
played-
Cleveland,
Deshaun played.
who have a guy named Ralph Waldo Emerson Jr.
Ralph Waldo Emerson. Self-reliance.
As I lay dying. Was that Faulkner?
I don't know, Kyle, but I'm a big Ralph Waldo Emerson fan.
I think it was Faulkner.
I'm also a big Robert Wadlow fan. He was almost 8 feet tall. So he's like the opposite
He
of
was
Kyler
almost
Murray.
9 feet tall. He was 8'11".
Guy was fucking huge. What if he
8'11"?
What if he had a small piece?
What a
the
strange
hell?
What if he had a
combination of
small
words.
piece?
Let me tell you.
What if
he
he had
could
a
have had a
small
small piece.
Can you imagine?
What?
All the circus chicks are like, I got to get with him in the back. And it's just like, oh, small
He
piece.
would have hung a mini Mona Lisa on the Hoover Dam.
That's funny. A microscopic Mona Lisa. Okay.
I haven't heard that dick joke format in a very long time.
No, I don't have much to say other than, hey, Brown's taking care of business. Deshaun Watson coming back to play. Listen, I don't like the circumstance that with which they found Deshaun Watson. I think there's a moral thing. You know, some people disagree with me, the whole thing. But I'm not going to hear that he didn't want to play football. I think he was really hurt. And I think
That's a weird thing to say about a guy whose life is dedicated to playing football.
Well, I think people look at it and they're like, oh, it's a shoulder bruise. Like, come on, it's just a shoulder bruise.
Let me give you a knee bruise.
In the chat, when's the last time you bruised your rotator cuff and then had to go play an NFL football game? It's not easy, man.
It's not a bruise like, I have
Black
a
and
bruise on
blue.
my. It's like internal deep bruising to your
worse.
joint systems that control the throwing mechanisms that will dictate how you fucking play in your profession.
Systems and mechanisms and atrophy and
It's real.
fucking swelling.
Overcompensation.
So that's our breakdown on that game.
Way to go, Ralph Waldo.
Browns were more physical.
Defense and special
This is us
teams.
breaking down a game we didn't see.
Defense and special teams.
Kyle probably saw that Bears game, though, right?
You know
Saints.
what? What I did see was the fucking halftime box score and Bajent's first half successes. What was it, like 220, 2 touchdowns?
He was
we
running
talked
the
about
ball.
earlier.
He was throwing the ball.
And it was the Saints inability to just close the game out and keep the Bears in the game, electing to not make it a 2-possession game there in the third quarter late, I think it was. They could have gone up by
they missed a field goal at the end. That
10 or 11, and then that one as well.
Some.
They could have ran away with this game. You look at I think it was -4, -5 for Chicago on the turnovers.
Yeah.
Yesterday, there's you're -2 in this league, you're lucky to win. You're -3 in this league, you're lucky if you don't get run out of the stadium. You're -4 and it's a 1-2 possession game. Everybody in your building goes to church, obviously.
Yes.
Bears.
Here's
Hopefully Fields is back. He's only got a short amount of time to really prove himself to the brass, and I think the brass has a short amount of time maybe to prove themselves.
The whole NFC North
to their brass.
The whole NFC North's in a tryout.
Yeah.
I mean, on different scales. I'm just going to say this. Jared Goff has to cash in at the top. He's played great, but down the stretch is where we're going to find out if Detroit really thinks about him as like a long-term guy. I love the guy, I'm so happy for him, but he's got it. He's on a level everybody's trying out in the NFL. But the other 3 teams for sure. I mean, like Jordan Love, they came out and said it. Hey, you got to – and here's where I'll mention that game in a second, but you got to play well the second half of the year. Not the second half of the football game. I think that's what he misheard Brian G., and he went out and lit it up in the second half yesterday. Statistically speaking, he was on fire. But the first half continues to be a problem for them. And then obviously Josh Dobbs in Minnesota, he's trying out for somebody else. But yeah, no, I think when it comes to Chicago, they did some good things yesterday. I think some of the parts of that game was not dissimilar to offensively what happened against the Chargers. I thought at times they moved the ball against the Chargers. They just couldn't finish drives, and they'd take a negative, and then they'd be behind the sticks. I thought at times this kid looked really good, but you make the point, Kyle, about turnovers, and this was how New Orleans won this game. Adebo has played great this year. He had a forced fumble, which was huge to open the third. He had 2 picks, one in the fourth that helped seal the game or put them in a tougher spot. And then DeMario Davis, TE, coming off the ball. He's standing up in kind of a 3 technique, runs a TE. In that game situation, sometimes you let that penetrator go, and he ends up with the sack to win the game. So the defense, although they bled a lot of yards, they end up holding this team to under 20 points at home. And the offense continues to get the job done for New Orleans. Like, they have trended in a positive direction over the last 10 quarters. So excited to see the Saints. Excited's the wrong word. We're at the back end of the show where I'm not as excited about these teams. But Atlanta, with them fumbling the bag against Minnesota, there's still a division race in the NFC South. And
Saints
New Orleans
full game
probably
up.
feels like they should win this division.
I'll say this. I am excited about the right side of the Chicago offensive line. People are starting to catch on. The booth's talking about it. Tevin Jenkins yesterday took somebody for a ride, planted them into the earth. They will be sprouting in spring, probably.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I love Tevin Jenkins. If he's
Yeah.
healthy and can stay on the field, he'll take that trip across the pond or wherever the fuck they play that All-Star game now.
Green Bay, LA, again, I hate to beat, I can't say beat a dead horse. Would never say that. I hate to.
I would eat a dead horse.
In a
I
drought,
was
yeah,
in
if I was-
Sweden
pile, man.
or
if there was a
Iceland,
famine.
they eat horses in
There was
Iceland.
a famine, yeah.
It's not a famine situation. I think they just, put
You
some,
just eat a horse.
put some rub on there.
I hate not to eat a dead horse, but the Rams and teams like them that don't either know where they are or didn't want to sell any of their pieces. I know Stafford's hurt and that might not be permanent, but just you go to Green Bay, they haven't beaten anybody in a while. You lose 23. It's just underwhelming. It's underwhelming. Underwhelming game, not one that a lot of people are watching. Again, for the Packers, Jordan Love, you get him going in the second half. What's going on with your first half game plan to where this kid's just not getting it? And the thing I need to see from him, I talked about them taking shots. He's got to throw a better deep ball consistently.
He has guys who can get down there and make plays.
And there are times where I feel like his arm strength is enough, but there's
It's not accurate.
It's the accuracy. You know how we talked about like the difference between, being able to just muscle a ball deep and what CJ Stroud's doing right now, which is he's just dropping
Placing the
dimes.
ball.
He's putting the ball on the green, and when the ball hits the green, it just stops. Right? He's got the backspin on it. Kyle learned that in Tiger Woods. Fucking, Jordan Love, he's just bouncing that thing over the green. or he's just off. And so when you have an offense with vertical threats like that or big guys, like you got to take shots, and he's got to improve there. But second half, you don't want to play the Packers in the second half.
Hey, look, Aaron Jones, when he's healthy, and we saw
that's a big one.
We saw it from week one. Week one, Aaron Jones against the Bears was great. He made Jordan Love look great, and I was sold on Jordan Love after 1 week. You know, I kissed her, and then I put a ring on it week one, and I was like, fuck. The rest of the
year. He had me jumping out of the gym.
And he was looking like Rodgers, jumping around with a little off the ground action during his throws. But
when
Aaron Jones, this is a team like the Niners, and they're nothing like the Niners, but situationally, if all the pieces aren't in place for this football team, offensively in particular, they're not going to have success. Jordan Love's not built to carry the load of this offense. He has to be better on the deep balls. He's got to be more accurate in the intermediate game.
So those are all the games.
That's all the games.
I think it's all the games, unless we forgot one.
No, you're
now
good.
we've got.
That's all the fucking games.
Okay, before we get to our Miller Lite moments, whatever you're looking forward to this football season, there's one thing that pairs well with every great moment, and that is an ice cold Miller Lite. Whether you're at the stadium playing fantasy football or watching the game at home or the bar, Miller Lite is here to make your football season taste like Miller time. No matter what team you're rooting for, there's one thing we can all agree on. Football brings us together. A connection like that deserves to be celebrated, Kyle.
Together.
Miller Lite, we're together because of football. And Miller Lite wants you to celebrate with me during the NFL Conference Championships in January. Right now, Miller Lite is giving you the chance to win a trip for two to come hang out with the Green Light Studio. You'll fly out to Charlottesville, Virginia, tune into the NFL Conference Championships with me and the Green Light crew. Then you'll sit on a live Greenlight podcast session.
Like we're doing today.
You just sit in here.
Hanging out.
You know when they say sit in, you're going to just sit in.
We had Chuck in here, sitting in here a couple weeks ago. He was awesome.
He had a fucking great time.
He did a breakdown. He did a game breakdown.
He still hasn't come down from that high. There's a lot of snacks in here, right?
There are.
Good people.
Cadbury eggs
elite snacks.
Yeah, here's you want to be this person? Just go to MillerLite.com/GreenlightSweeps to enter. And this is all delivered by Miller Lite because when football's on, it's always Miller time, Kyle. From kickoff till the final whistle, Kyle, you can't go wrong with a Miller Lite.
And even after the whistle.
After the whistle, too. Celebrate Miller time with the Green Light podcast. Go to MillerLite.com/GreenlightSweeps to enter for your chance to win.
Shit, you drink a Miller Lite. It's
Read
so
will
good,
read
you're gonna
this.
want
And check this out.
Whistle.
No purchase necessary. Starts 11/6/23 and ends 12/4/23 at 11:59 p.m. Central Time. Must be a legal resident of 50 U.S. states. 21 years of age or older. Void where prohibited. See official rules at www.millerlite.com/greenlightsweeps for entry instructions, odds, prizes, and restrictions. Sponsor Molson Coors Beverage Company, U.S. LLC, 250 South Wacker Drive, Chicago, Illinois, USA 6066.
South Wacker.
Wacker. Kyle used to hang out there in Chicago.
Wacker, I just met her.
Wacker Drive. That's the way you.
Just
Wacker Drive. That's where you whack people.
The thing that's confusing about Wacker.
That's where DeVito hangs
There's
out.
upper Wacker
Yeah,
and there's
lower.
lower Wacker.
Oh, my
So when
God.
you're down there in Chicago, you put an address in that's on the street level, you could end up in lower Wacker, and you're like in the
Waze starts having a panic
the
attack.
innards of the city.
innards
It's
of
like
Wacker.
the yellow lights indoor. It's like a parking
Please
garage.
make a U-turn. Please make a U-turn.
Dude, that's where people go missing, buddy.
So yeah, come hang out with us.
Come hang out, fuck around.
We don't smell. It's
Get
like
weird.
honestly like pretty good hygiene, nice studio.
We have a
go weird.
shower here too. If
Yeah,
we
we
end
got
up smelling,
shower.
we can clean up real quick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I poop in the studio and I take a shower.
Good. I had to drop my carry-on from Tuscaloosa off last night in the bathroom during one of the Eagles.
Carry
big
on.
drives.
That's what we're calling shits now.
Yeah. Well, what? I just said carry on. Can't
Best flights.
best flights.
Oh, your actual luggage.
No, I really talking about
Because there is luggage upstairs.
talking about a huge bag of pork rinds that I ate at 2 a.m. at the bar, like it was this big. Yeah, and then I had a Brian Denny dog. I had some chicken tenders at Brian Denny. I waited 40 minutes for those tendies. Missed like part of the third quarter. No problem. Worth it.
Denny. That's the stadium.
I'm
right?
going back to Alabama.
Greenbow, Alabama.
Greenbow, Alabama. I can't wait to get back there to my people, man. Me, Tom, Badback Backy, we were on the plane ride talking about let's get a condo for when our kids all go to school here, and we can make it right next to the stadium.
Big plans.
There is like literally an apartment building that's 30 feet from the stadium. The street's like this narrow, and then there's like the entrance to the stadium. and alums will buy those apartments and just tailgate in their front yard. It's fucking incredible, dude. They got it figured out.
It's like the Wrigley Field rooftop.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah. Send your entire athletic department, whoever you are, down to Bryant-Denny Stadium and just take notes.
And I just love, you know what? We're going to talk about college for just 2 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so Jalen Milroe, post-game interview with Nick Saban. They just love Nick Saban. And Nick Saban obviously loves his guys. The post-game interview, it was like when Nick passed the mic to Jalen, there was a hug. It was a real hug. You can see the smile.
Yeah, and they've sat him down this year at different points, right?
And he's taken a lot of flack in the media, especially early going in the season. Right. But it was nice to see that big win. Nick Saban, that's awesome.
And then Dabo, he's like, if you want to buy stock in Clemson, buy it right now. It's called insider trading. Kind of.
He trips me out.
Yeah, it trips me out too, Kyle.
I don't know what it is.
Don't ask him about his salary.
Yeah.
He'll go wild.
Didn't he say that if NIL became a thing, he would retire?
Yeah, it hadn't happened yet.
God's name, image, and likeness.
Pretty much. So I can't really define that because nobody's seen God. Okay? But it's going to be something like that. So anyways, we'll do our awards. Or as we call them, Miller Lite Moments. Are we doing best flight first?
Best flight, worst flight. I'll go best flight.
Okay.
The Chiefs, relatively healthy. They're going to do a bye week. Huge win in Germany. Place that Travis and Patrick have never been. They've been everywhere. They've done everything as a duo. They've never been to Germany. The rock stars, they went out there to Frankfurt and they said, Guten Tag, bitches.
Sprechen Sie complimentary football?
Sprechen Sie turnovers?
Sprechen Sie key moments where you guys don't show up?
Sprechen Sie Schrei? Fly?
That's the German.
Yeah. Okay. Best flight. Best flight. Probably Commanders. That's a short one, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got chicken man up front, fucking scarfing down some Chick-fil-A.
I keep forgetting that he
even though it's Sunday, you can't get Chick-fil-A on the way home. What is Sam Howell do?
Pollo Loco.
Pollo Loco. By the way, best commercial by a current NFL star other than Von Miller and Stephon Diggs, because I think they're great actors. Yeah. I've said this a bunch. TJ Watt in a Del Taco commercial. Yes. I'm watching that commercial. I'm going to tell you something. He reminds me of a Howie Long in the 80s. Like, he's got that same kind of
Duke Nukem look and also all ball.
And he's all ball. He never smiles. If he does, it's like he's a handsome devil.
Everybody goes, ha ha, he smiled.
Yeah. But the Del Taco commercial, he's peak Howie Long.
Yes.
I feel like I was watching a Howie Long commercial in the 80s. So Commanders, I'll give you the best flight. It's a short one, relatively short.
You got the nobody believes in us factor, too. They just traded some guys away. You still win.
Yeah, it's cool. Less guys on the plane.
Worst flight, Dolphins. I feel like if you're in the air for that long and you're a Dolphin, you might die.
Jim Irsay had a situation like that with a whale earlier this year.
The whale didn't make it.
The whale didn't make it.
Oh well.
You can't put the whale under where you putting the bulldogs under the.
Read like that.
Somebody go get Shamu some peanuts. Oh, Shamu's not moving much. Is Shamu supposed to be floating?
He's not Shamoving.
Yeah, he's not Shamoving. So I'm gonna
get him Sham out of here.
I'm gonna give it. I mean, listen. Okay, Sham wow, Kyle. Sham wow. All right.
Sham wow.
Sham, shut the fuck up, so I can give my worst flight. You goofy SOBs. Dolphins, Bucs, and Giants had the three worst flights. The Bucs, to me, the emotional swing of thinking you won a game to thinking you lose a game like that, the quietest locker room after a game. That had to be the quietest locker room. But I got to give it to the Giants. You go to Vegas, you see everybody's in Vegas. Like, people are on the field partying in these fucking nightclubs that are on the field. Like, we've been in those nightclubs. They're crazy. It is fun. But you got to watch that the whole time you're getting fucking drugged, like 30-6 or something. And then you got to get on a plane ride with Brian Dable, who's probably not having very much fun right now. The tone on that plane had to be awful, and it's a long-ass flight. Going back to New York, I'll give it to the Giants.
Oh, Bevel Conway. I'm going to say the Raiders' victory cigars. And I'm not. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful football moment. For those of you who don't know, Bevel Conway, famous artist.
Crazy, right? You just realized what he said.
What?
Yo, you just
Let me
complained.
do this. Let me finish this. Let me finish this.
Go ahead.
It was the most football scene. It was like the celebration. It was a Super Bowl, a conference. It was a hat and T-shirt.
What's that?
Game.
I see. Is that a DPOY through the smoke?
It was a hat and T-shirt game. Yeah, the DPOY. Thanks for coming out to the game, guys.
Could be.
I just thought it was Bevel
Standing
Conway.
on bid.
No, that's a good call.
Bevel Conway was an artist and a neuroscientist.
No, he still is, Kyle. He was on this show. We were trying to settle a debate that some of y'all might well know about, which is a lot of you, respectfully, Helen Keller's out there, think that lemon lime Gatorade is yellow.
Oh
it's
my
fucking
God.
green, dude.
Yo.
It's green.
Not that
And so we had a color specialist come on. His job is literally to name crayons.
He is racist.
And what did he say? What did he say?
He said people with more depth of color.
Oh my
What did he say?
God.
So you,
Oh
You tell
my
me.
goodness.
More colors.
You asked the question. What did he
So you
say?
have more of a spectrum.
You're wrong. What did he say? You want to ask?
He said for
he
the most
sided
part.
with me.
No.
Yes, he did. Bro.
No,
How
he
much you want to bet?
How much you want to bet? What do you mean?
$100.
He literally played it right down the middle.
We'll
He
run
was
the
like,
tape back. Oh, so he played it right down the middle.
that's what I was gonna say because you were about to be like, oh, it's all on my
He
side.
said it, and I quote: "People with more depth of vision that can read more colors that are in between colors will say it's green because it is technically partially green."
There you have it. Bevel Conway says lemon lime Gatorade is green.
Now we're gonna run it back. If I'm wrong,
My
then I'll
bet-
give Reed $100. But the point is, he came on the show and he's 51-49 sided with your boy.
Do I
Hard to
give
read.
you my anti-Bevel Conway before you give me your Bevel Conway?
what?
Yeah, anti-bevel.
My anti-Bevel Conway, Texans versus Bucs. And I can't really put my finger on why. It's just not appealing to the eyes.
Oh, Texans Bucks? No,
No,
anything with pewter.
It
and
was
like
the
a
Texans
fucking
blue on
indoor
top, white on the
football.
bottom, Bucs white on white.
it.
It just didn't look good. Like there's some matchups that just look blue blood.
Pewter should only be used on like sport utility vehicles that nobody wants.
Can I give an anti-bevel?
That's not a great color.
Are you flexing your spectral color?
Talk to
ability?
Bevel
I think
Conway.
he is.
I think he called me. I think he called me the. Well, I can't remember.
Is this red or is it apple crisp?
Not Granny Smith, son.
Serious.
You probably think the Gatorade
These red's different.
Red Delicious or something.
Red Delicious.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Fuji apples are the best. All right. So, anyways, we had the Bevel Conway. I'm gonna go Miami KC in Germany.
Very cool.
I can't put my finger on it. Maybe Bevel can come back on, or maybe somebody from like a TV truck can tell me. But why does it look so cool in Europe? It's the field's the same size. The grass is the grass different? Is it that all the stadiums are outdoor, but they
Grass
have
looks like
that?
it has a haircut.
I love it looks better. It
And
looks crisper on TV. Maybe it's 'cause
people in
best
the
camera.
audience smoking heaters too.
Are there?
And
must
everybody's
miss that.
standing
But maybe-
the whole time. These fuckers don't shut up the whole game.
Listen,
it is amazing.
I was thinking about this, Chris. Maybe it's the fact that we have to wake up at 9:30 to watch the game, and you're in a different
Your
mindset.
REM cycle.
I really do think it's beautiful. I don't know what it is, but the shots from these games are great. They're great. Bevel Conway though, it's going to be
Chiefs Dolphins.
Tuscaloosa during Dixieland Delight. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
My dollar.
Yeah,
beer.
on beer. Send it right to Reed.
God, I don't know. I couldn't go down there.
Yeah, it was crazy. All right,
You guys got a Hollow Man?
Hollow Man. I'm not gonna say it. Should I say it? I'm not gonna say
What
it.
are we talking about?
Hollow Man.
Who's
Who
the
do you
hollow?
think I might pick for Hollow Man?
I wonder.
Was
Does
one
it
of the
rhyme
big.
with Agavilo?
Oh,
It's just the Dolphins, man. Yeah, I'm not gonna give it to him. I'm just gonna give it to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Hollow Men, man.
Yep.
Tyreek, maybe and I got so much respect for Tyreek. He is such a great player.
he has to stop talking too much. He talks
Okay,
too
you
much.
said that. I didn't say it. If
Yeah,
I was
bro.
as good as Tyreek, I would be saying whatever the fuck I wanted.
Nah, but don't always have that drop in the game then, and like little
Lately,
stuff.
there have been little things.
Yeah.
Okay, but I thought coming out there against your old team, that was a big thing for him,
Mm-hmm.
and the fumble, and they actually did a pretty good job on him.
It was less of a fumble, more of a takeaway.
And then talking about touchdown celebrations.
I mean, they assaulted him.
Yeah, they did.
they flew to him like a bunch of fucking hyenas.
They
dude.
did. I want to give an award. Yeah, they were like, oh, there's a cheetah here. All right, so I want to give an award to somebody who, and maybe it's my STL Memorial Award. I was going to give it to Adebo, but this might be a totally different award than we've ever given out. It's the guy who kicked the fucking ball for the Texans.
Dare.
Are
you talking about Dare Ogunbowale?
Yes, I am. Kyle, how'd you know?
Because I wrote it phonetically.
Yeah, this dude kicked a real field goal to go up in that game or tie it. It was like a high stakes field goal.
30-33, right?
The high stakes field goal.
I looked up and there was a position player kicking. I was like, this looks odd.
That total started at 37.
Damn.
Crazy.
Should more position players kick? I mean, there's obviously athletes in the league who can kick.
Justin Reed can kick.
You know, there's guys who can kick. Justin Reed, prime example. You're wasting $1.5 million, $2-3 million on a kicker every year.
Kickers are like, F you guys. Don't start
I'm
this
not
shit.
saying it.
The kickers are saying, don't
I'll
start
be damned.
this.
If I got Justin Tucker, I feel pretty good.
But if I got Justin Reed, that motherfucker can play safety too.
Yeah, he can play safety too. Yeah, you're right.
And he can
You're right.
kick. And he can pass.
Right.
Here's another thing. Why can't fucking punters learn how to emergency just kick a field goal? Like how hard is that, and how much time do you have extra for a situation like that though? You think it's that hard for a punter to learn how to kick a field goal like an emergency situation?
Hey man.
Probably.
I have
because it looks pretty hard for the guys that do it every fucking day.
Yeah.
Like the Saints guy who cost America billions of dollars yesterday.
Yikes.
Not me, but America.
I didn't bet on that one.
Just cost me pride. The locks.
I got to do a hollow man here. I'm getting pointed at. It's Chase Claypool. I know he fell on the fumble, but he gets in the game. Jalen Waddle goes down, right? Jalen Waddle goes down. Claypool comes in, lines up in the wrong spot. They put him in the right spot. He false starts. Yeah, it's cringe. That's the word.
Dude, because some guys, when they don't pan out, you're like, he's just not good enough. Like, it's really hard to be good in the NFL. Like, it's fucking... Like, you can try your very best and be really talented, and the NFL is too hard for a lot of guys because of some you see him coming out of Notre Dame, you're like, this big body guy, he's going to be dunking on people, 50-50 balls, he's physical, the whole thing. We really haven't seen a lot of that. And as time goes on and, like, you hear the anecdotes from different stops, you're like, okay, some of this he's controlling because he's not prepared or he passes up a chance to block for the Bears when they need him to block, or not dependable.
It's like if you meet an asshole every once in a while, you probably met an asshole. If you meet an asshole every day, there's a chance that you're the fucking asshole.
Right, maybe. And I'm not calling him an asshole, but I am saying like some of this stuff he can control.
Right. I mean, I'm not saying he's a dickhead.
No,
I'm saying situationally,
he seems cool as shit.
We've seen it happen too many times.
Seems cool as shit. We sent him some chewing tobacco,
some dip,
and some people were like, "That's bad."
We're the reason.
Yeah, well, if football doesn't get him, it might be the skull. I don't know. All right. So, STL Memorial, I want to give it to Adebo, actually, because I don't think anybody's talking about that New Orleans game. This guy has played really well for them this year, and he kind of won them that game.
Tank Dell, game-winning touchdown, 2 tuds, 6 receptions, 114 yards. That duo is awesome to watch, man. My STL
Somebody in the chat just said, I bought a Claypool Steelers jersey after his first game. Worst financial decision of my life. Matty Erickson, I'm sorry. That's tough. Haven't burned it, though. I think jerseys like that are best worn ironically now.
Yeah.
So you don't want to burn that jersey.
That thing will go up in value here soon.
All right, cool. I don't meet any assholes, Kyle. Ever. So.
You got a game ball?
Game ball.
3, 2, 1.
You first.
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one to give. I have a hard time giving it to anybody else, but
CJ Stroud.
I'll probably give it to CJ Stroud, Kyle.
That's good.
We both gave out our game balls. We need fly on the wall. Fly on the wall.
And these are good.
And best seat, which we don't know. Oh, what did we change?
Fly on the wall would be owner of the Panthers, David Tepper, watching CJ Stroud after standing on the table for Bryce Young.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough getting off that table. I want to give it to the German press pool when Mike McDaniel got up there, as you mentioned earlier, and was like,
Am I taller than you thought?
or maybe Mike McDaniel when that happened, because what he didn't realize, as brilliant as he is of an offensive play caller, and I think he's a great coach, he has to know the Germans, you're not going to get easy laughs out of them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what they do.
Crickets.
It's not what they do.
He got crickets.
I don't think anything's funny. I don't think anything's funny. So that was not, you got to know your audience, you know?
I got to fly on the wall. Fly on the wall. Being Antonio Pierce before McDaniels, like feeling great about having that meeting and being like, yeah, I just killed it. I got these guys riled up. He's going to be happy about this. And then
McDaniels
I'm so mad at you.
Thanks for getting the team excited. You're fired.
Like,
you talked bad about the Patriots.
I just want to know how he responded to that. Like, if he was like, man, get the fuck out my face, or just was just like, you know what? Like,
the fuck, it's a joke. I got to tap dance around Patriots takes. Right? But like,
that can't be a real story.
It's real because that's how some people act.
I heard Glazer break it yesterday on Fox, and I remember immediately saying that's just.
When I hear that story, I just think about the Wolverine meme that McDaniels is at night just looking at the Patriots and Bill Belichick.
Looking at Bill Belichick. The Wolverine meme.
Great fucking format for a meme.
The Wolverine meme.
So I gotta go.
Really hard to make. I've tried to make. You have to like download a thing that makes Wolverine memes, and then you got to upload an image and all fuck this shit.
Wolverine meme generator.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got. What do I got to do now? Fly on the wall.
Just best seat.
Best seat in the house. That's got to be Mark Davis at the suite. He just got a new haircut, getting thank yous from the fans as he's walking out into the crowd or onto the field. He looked regal.
Yeah.
He looked rejuvenated. That team looked awesome. Aiden O'Connell, great.
It's crazy what a new haircut could do for you, man.
I would have loved to have been in that suite during that game, bro.
It also reinforces my take, which is that when people get major haircuts or they grow a big beard out that they don't usually have, they're going through something. Or they shave. There's like a sudden thing where I show up and all of a sudden I look all fucked up because I actually shaved my beard. It's because something's going on.
I'm going through changes in my life.
Who is that?
Charles Bradley.
See, I think about Ozzy Osbourne.
No.
No, Ozzy Osbourne did that song too.
That's Culture Vulture. No. Culture Vulture.
When did Charles Bradley do it?
I have no idea, Chris. I think I'm being serious here. I'm going through changes.
Yeah, no, you brought up Culture Vulture. We talk about Elvis Presley.
Yeah, you're a regular Elvis over here.
No, I was coked up Elvis for Halloween. Nobody knew. Did you not see this?
No.
Can you? Here, I'll show you. Kyle.
Coked up Elvis.
Kyle.
You walked around on a toilet.
Well, somebody was like, "How are you going to explain this to the kids?" I'm like, "Easy. These are illicit drugs. You know, it's like you can get into trouble. Elvis got into trouble doing this. You're never going to find me with powder on my nose on the toilet. Look at this, Kyle.
Chris.
Well, I was only that at work, and I don't think anybody got it.
No.
They were like, why does he have chalk on his nose? All right. Some people really thought I was probably zooted in here.
That's what I assume.
Yeah. You would be the guy who would hook me up. So.
You got a best seat?
Yeah, best seat. Mike Vrabel. Watching the Patriots. Just so happened that Thursday night they lose that game. They get to sit around for the weekend, the mini bye. And I got to figure he's just got the TV on, and Chicken Man is looking like Michael Vick out there. Okay? And he's thinking to himself, I just went back up to New England to put that red jacket on. Imagine coaching while you're in the Ring of Honor.
He might wear the red jacket on the sideline.
On the sideline. That'd be the alpha move, boy.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Facts, what's your viral moment?
My facts viral moment this week is going to go to defensive and football operations assistant Matt Leo.
Oh, I did see this guy. Oh, but I didn't see that.
He was knocked over on the sidelines of the Philadelphia game, and there is a viral shot going on.
That's a thong.
About his undergarments that he's wearing. But I want to start this. I want to start this off by saying, first off, don't underwear shame First off, and then doing a deep dive, he's actually not from America. He's from Australia, where the land of the banana hammock is big time.
That's white. That's not a thong.
That ass is white.
No. That's not, then why did
that whale tail's red, boy?
I don't think that's a thong.
Hey, it's a thong, man. And even if it is, like, who cares? Like, I seen the first video.
You're the one doing the segment.
I mean, everyone's reaction is like, oh, that guy has a thong. Get him off the sideline.
Like hate, bro.
No, that is hate on him, bro. It's hate on him. It's hate on him.
That sounds like hate, bro.
I'm defending him, but you're saying the wrong thing because I'm defending him.
Put your hands up. You
hating on him, bro.
Well, first off,
driving that train,
whatever he's wearing, it doesn't really matter.
But that's crazy. Like he gets knocked over, he puts that thing on. He's like, "I'm gonna wear my lucky thong." We were playing the Cowboys.
Trouble ahead.
Nobody's gonna get me.
Hey.
Next thing you know, boom! You get hit on the sideline.
I don't think it's a thong.
And your panties are
whatever it is.
He says it's not.
Whatever it is, the Eagles fans say he has to wear it the rest of the year.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I need to look. I need to look at like on my computer because it just didn't look. It was hard for me to see. It was all. I need to enhance.
Male thongs are going to be sold out of wherever they're sold.
Oh, I also want to shout out the true chicken man, not Sam Howell. Our guy from Philly. It was 1 year ago that he ate that rotisserie chicken in front of all those people at the landing down there in Philly. Yeah,
shout out Alex.
He ate it for how many days in a row?
40.
40 days of rotisserie chickens, Kyle. When I went to meet this guy to eat it, to have a chicken, we sat down over a chicken at the pier.
Yeah.
It was crazy, Kyle. Like we met this guy. For Philly people to know, he had 40 days in a row of rotisserie chickens to the dome, and people were like, every time he ate one in the same place out by the ocean, more people would show up. And then the last day it was like, fucking look at this guy.
I mean, it's a crowd.
So we went to meet him. We like DM'd him and shit. And we were like, hey, I'd love to meet you for a chicken. And he was like, what the fuck is this? But he showed up. He came like from the opposite side, and we watched him walk in. Like it was like a drug deal. It was like it was like a mob scene. And then we set up a little table with an Italian tablecloth, and we had a chicken. And he took one bite. He looked like he was gonna vomit.
He did.
Because I think he's scarred. Like when I had Rumplemints in college and had like way too much, chugged it past the label, can't drink it anymore. It's the same thing for the Chicken Man. I want to shout out the Chicken Man up in Philly. A year ago today, he did 40 days. That's my shout out to finish the show.
All right, let's hear from our sponsors at Little Caesars.
Oh, Little Caesars. If you're not in the mood for a rotisserie chicken, Monday is still game day, and game day is the perfect pizza day. So make Little Caesars the official pizza sponsor of the NFL part of your game day. Order online during our Pizza pregame 1 hour before and 3 hours after NFL kickoffs, plus all day Sunday to have your NFL game day covered. Choose your favorite Little Caesars pizza or pick the toppings you crave. It's a pizza win. And speaking of winning, everyone scores with convenient delivery or our in-store pizza portal pickup. So grab some friends, order your Little Caesars, and enjoy during the games. Guys,
pizza.
I don't know what else to say, really.
Who do you like
Chargers,
tonight?
Jets tonight. Chargers at Jets. Chargers are favored by 3.5.
How are the Chargers going to fuck this one up?
So I put in a bet last week on the Jets at 4, and then Macon gave them out as a lock, and I kind of want to now, just out of my hatred for Macon and his locks, I kind of want to go back the other way and take the Chargers, maybe money line, big. But I don't know what's going to happen in this game. I said this last week. I think it's all about who catches the ball out of the backfield better. I'm talking about Eckler versus Hall. Like those are the two guys that can hurt the other defense on the other side.
Can they stop the big explosive runs from Breece Hall?
And that's it, because it's been a lot of little ones, and then the big home run. So I think the Jets have made a lot of really good quarterbacks look average, and the Chargers have made a lot of bad quarterbacks look above average. And I'm not saying Zach's a bad quarterback unless you go by the numbers.
Relatively speaking, to
but
other good quarterbacks.
No, I mean, People are weird about the Zach Wilson thing, right?
Yeah.
Can it just be that
Like they want Aaron Rodgers, but they also think.
But they also get mad when people don't give Zach Wilson a chance.
Yeah.
Listen, he's got a real chance tonight. This is a primetime opportunity for him. He's had him winning. He's made, like at the end of that Giants game, he made some big throws.
And the AFC East window is ever so slightly opened.
It's open, dude, because the rest of the division looks like frauds.
Yeah.
It's fraud city. Or the Jets, they are who we thought they are, which is like a 10-7 team. And if 10-7 could win that division, maybe, I don't know. It's not going to. Miami's probably going to win that division.
Yeah, it's Justin Herbert. I mean, it's going to come down to which quarterback I trust more, really. I mean,
you trust Herbo.
We talk about the run. I just love Herbo. I'm an Oregon guy, but
I like Herbo too.
I have a tendency to root for physical specimens, freaks, and he's one of them. He's a guy with a lot of gifts, and the world's going to see it again. We saw it with the Cowboys and the Chargers. Some big time throws in that game from him. It'll be the same thing against the Jets.
I'm going to tell you, do a couple things here, you at home. Number one, have a great week. I hope you have a great week. How's your week looking, Kyle? Good?
It's going to be a good
Anything
week.
Exciting to look forward to?
No out of the ordinary travel. I'm going to be here hanging out in Charlottesville. It's a beautiful time of the year.
I'm going to Happy Valley
Okay.
to see Coach Hagans.
Coach Hagans.
Yeah, I'm going to go see Coach Hagans. They're going to play Michigan. Obviously, it's a big game. So we got to get there. Taking the kids up and all that stuff. Going to be seeing what that stadium's all about.
Watch your pockets. I heard Michigan steals.
That's good.
Good.
That's good. Fucking the other thing I'm going to tell you to do is like and subscribe. And then tell your friends about the show. Because I think we're doing a really good Monday show, Kyle. I watched our Monday show last week, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
I love the Monday show. It's
I like
fun.
the Monday show. So tell your friends, hey, they got a good Monday show going at Greenlight. And only if you think so.
For real.
Appreciate y'all.